What's going on, everybody? Jorge Aquino coming to you live and direct. It's indeed Tormenting Tarmac. It's the podcast where the enthusiast never dies. Coming at you on one of my, I guess you could say is like my second favorite day of the week. I know it sounds weird. Most people's favorite day of the week is obviously Friday for obvious reasons. That is my favorite day of the week, too. I think mostly everybody's second favorite day of the week might be Saturday. I love
Mm,
me a Thursday because it's
mhm.
leading us right into Friday.
I
And you
feel
can't,
that.
you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
then when
yeah.
it was great when I was growing up. Thursday night was like must see television. Like for me, Friends was on, and so
Mhm.
I'd watch Friends when I was a teenager and stuff like that. Like when it was still on the air,
Yeah, yeah.
and whatnot. And like a lot of people watched. I think Seinfeld was on Thursday nights and stuff like
I
that.
think so.
It may
Yes.
have been so like and like for those people who like the NFL, obviously it's the start of the NFL week.
Yes.
So who doesn't love a Thursday and
Mhm.
whatnot? But it's a beautiful evening out here on the west side of Bird City. My guest this evening is calling in from a place that I happen to love and adore, that being Southern California. My guest this evening is one of the better journalists going on in the automotive media today, and it's such a treat to have him. It's the first time he's doing the show. I got a chance to go ahead and meet him a few months back, and finally getting a chance to go ahead and run it here. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Jeff Glucker of Hooniverse joining
Howdy.
me. And he freelances all over the place, and you're living the life, brother.
It is. It's the job can look glamorous on Instagram. You know.
I know, dude. That's the thing. I have come to understand not just from the podcast, but even from as a as a lover of automotive journalism, I've come to understand that when you are doing a job like yours, you have to out hustle everybody. The hustle is like not twice the amount; it's almost thrice, or if not four times the amount. It's something that I, of course, have so much respect for, but I also recognize that it's not your traditional 40-hour a week job. It's really more so than that, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there are days where it feels like it's an easy day. You got the news
Sure.
done, you got stuff written. Sometimes you go, you know what, I want to ride my mountain bike or take a car for a drive, or I can
Yeah.
use an excuse as I got to go photograph or video a car. But, there's definitely also, it'll be Saturday, Sunday. You'll be thinking like, oh, shoot, do I need to write this or do I need to write that? Or did I need to get these photos done? So
Yeah.
it's not that it's 40 hours a week. It's just kind of always going, which is why it is good and healthy to also take breaks and just, turn all that stuff off too.
Absolutely. No, it's been such a treat to go ahead and see your stuff going on over the last few years, dude. I first discovered you and your stuff by listening to Matt Farah and Zach Clapman on the Smoking Tire.
Sure.
You've been a guest on their show multitude of times, and then you'd be on, and they would be like Jeff Glucker of Hooniverse. And I remember for the first time I seen it, I was like, Hooniverse. I was like, is that an off-brand offshoot of the
Sure.
Hoonigans and stuff like that at the beginning? And then I got a chance to go ahead and discover you more and more over the last few years, and then see what you're doing. And I'm like, oh no, wait, hold on, Jeff Walker's the shit, bro. Like
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
it's really cool and everything like that. And I think you've really made your name for yourself over the past like decade plus. And I got nothing but respect for you, dude.
I
But
appreciate it, man.
yeah, of
Thank you.
course. I'm subscribed to the to the Hooniverse YouTube channel, and you. There's a lot of things that I want to take our conversation to tonight, but
Sure.
before we do that, we got a chance to go ahead and really hit it off and talk for 15, 20 minutes when we saw each other at the LA Auto Show last
Mhm.
November.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I'm in the middle of trying to go ahead and get my media credentials right now as we speak. Uh, I'm applying for it. They want me to drag my work in there, and I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
really drag my work in there because I don't have written work, bro. I've got audio files.
Yeah. I mean, I've been going to that show for so long.
Yeah,
I screenshot because my main gig these days is Motor1 in addition to all
yeah,
the Hooniverse stuff. So I just screenshotted my bio page and uploaded that. And then I was gonna drag my Instagram handle over and be like, I've been coming here for years, but you could do your LinkedIn profile and
yeah.
send them that link, and I got approved the next day.
Okay, fantastic. So last year when I got approved, I thought it was going to take me like a few weeks to get approved. I got the approval in like 2 hours, and
Yeah.
I think I applied in like I think it was like October. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to try and go to LA, baby. Let's go. And
Yeah.
so this time it's a little bit different. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and drag over my Instagram bio and be like, I hope you guys remember me from last year when you guys approved
Yeah.
me.
If you've been in the system, it usually slides through pretty quick.
Yeah, I noticed that because they actually approved me for the New York Auto Show, and I was like, "That's great." If I was going to New York, I
Right.
was like, "So shout out to Automobility, you love to see it." So I'll put it out there right now. I'm going out to LA again in November. So if anybody wants to holler at your boy, please do so. That would be wonderful. My wife doesn't know yet, but I hope she is cool with me going to LA the week before Thanksgiving. But
Week
that was
before is better than week of.
dude, tell me about it. Even the Friday night coming back. So I went there. I show up at on that Wednesday. I left my house at like 9 o'clock in the morning here in Phoenix. I'm on the west end of Phoenix, so in Surprise, and so I can easily take the 303 state route, connect to the 10, and then boom,
Hmm.
I drive hour and a half. I'm already on the California border, and then
Oh,
drive another 4 hours into like LA County, and it's
that's
great.
not bad.
So it's really not. No, no. I was going great until I hit traffic. And originally, I was going to drive into Orange County to go ahead and visit a friend. And I found out, oh no, we're going to switch it up. I'll meet you at the convention center. And I was like, well, that works out. I won't fully go into OC. I got to go to LAX to pick up my friend who's coming with me. So
Mhm.
it worked itself out and whatnot. But it took me, had I not deviated into Orange County, it actually would have taken me like 5.5 hours on a Wednesday afternoon.
That's way quicker than I would have guessed.
Dude, I know, and it was great, but I will tell you that Friday night it took me a full 9 hours to get home. Yeah, getting
Yeah.
out of Los Angeles on a Friday is not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you that right now. But
Hmm.
it was just a really good time, man, and that was my first like auto show because like I go to auctions here in Phoenix. We obviously got
Oh, sure.
Barrett and
Yep.
whatnot, and we get RM Sotheby's and Bonhams. That was like my first real auto show, and like for the first time since I've been doing Tormenting Tarmac, like I felt like, oh man, this is I kind of in the game to an
Yeah,
extent.
sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and it's a really cool experience. I got a chance to see you. Shout out to Manuel Carrillo, who's actually going to be on the podcast actually here in the next couple of weeks. That's our
Awesome.
boy
Yep.
and whatnot. So like getting a chance to go ahead and talk to you, and having real conversations. I was like, so this is kind of what it feels like when you get a chance to go ahead and meet some of the contemporaries like real contemporaries,
Yeah.
people like yourself that are really doing it. Like, how long have you been in the game now, Jeff?
Oh boy. I kind of started doing the auto journalist thing a little bit. To fully back up, I had a day job not on the editorial side at a company called NADA Guides. I managed our affiliate business relationships. And then they were like, you know what, you guys should start a blog. Because I was a regular reader of Prime era Jalopnik Prime era in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Those
we
were the
all
good
have our
old days,
different
bro.
have our different Prime eras of Jalopnik, but I was a reader of it, and then a couple of us in the LA area who were enthusiasts. One of them worked for one of the fleet company, the press car delivery services,
Yeah.
and he's like, "You guys are big enough. You could get press cars." So then I started to get those, and then I joined Motor Press Guild, and that was probably back in late '07, early '08, if I had to
Okay.
guess. And Hooniverse started because I didn't, that was going one way. And then my buddy and I were like, well, let's start our own blog, see what happens. And we launched Hooniverse in fall of '09, and
Damn.
then ever since then, but to circularize that thought to what you were saying, your first auto show and your first time meeting people, that's for me also when it clicked is in at the auto shows. I don't cover them like a traditional news outlet normally would. If there's news to be found, there's less and less of it these days because they put the news out so much earlier instead of
Yep.
these
And it's
days
all,
news.
and a lot of them is AI too, like AI articles
Yeah.
that some of the websites are
Oh,
using too, which
yeah,
is,
for
don't
sure.
even get me started. Yeah.
But for me, the benefit was always meeting people and making
Yeah.
connections. So that it makes perfect sense that you felt that way at LA last year.
Yeah.
And that's huge, and to have those to form those relationships.
Oh, I completely agree. And over the last few years, I've had the blessing of being able to go ahead and have a variety of different journalists in the game do the podcast, which is amazing. Johnny, shout out to Johnny
Sure.
Lieberman's done the show a few times. Clapman's done the show a few times. Farrah's done it
Awesome.
twice, and
Nice.
and recently we just went ahead and completed. Unbelievably enough, we just completed our 200th episode, and even
Amazing.
though I don't consider him a journalist, I consider him more of a content creator. But Ed Bolian did the show as well, and so
Oh,
like
sure. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
now and you get yourself now people like you and stuff like that, and it's like my biggest thing is trying to be because I don't consider myself a news outlet. I consider myself more of a, I guess you could say, an opinionated podcast. Yeah, we're going to
Sure.
report on news and stuff like that, but my point is to try and get an opinion out of yourself or whoever's going to be doing the show. And so for them to have allowed me to be in there, and yeah, they were, I know they were approving everybody, but they weren't approving anybody,
No,
just
they weren't
everybody,
approving
which
everybody. Right.
and so like that's when I was just like, wow, that's cool, man. Like this is a really cool next step into it and whatnot. And then you're in the mecca of car culture, which is being Los Angeles,
I agree.
and there's a lot of stuff going on, and it was really cool. Let me ask you this, because you mentioned the prime era of Jalopnik and whatnot, and you made the case and you made the point to go ahead and say we all define the prime era of Jalopnik different. What's the
Mhm.
prime era of Jalopnik to you?
It's kind of when the torch was passed, and I go way back. I was the
Yeah.
first starred commenter on Jalopnik, if people remember that era of
Okay.
Jalopnik. Um, I'd say the transition from like the Davy Johnson, Johnny Lieberman era
Yeah.
to like when it was Ben Woodzilla, Murley Martin. Trying to think who else would have been there back then. It was like just before Ray Word,
Okay.
basically.
I
Like
got you.
that time is my personal favorite
So,
time for
so
Jalopnik.
what is that? So what's timeline wise? What are we looking at year wise?
Mid to late mid '05 to 10, I guess, if I had to
Okay,
guess.
cool.
Um, I think it for me it started to go, it started to lose appeal to me in like '09ish, which is kind of why we broke off as readers of Jalopnik to start Hooniverse.
Yeah.
And there was enough of a people with the same sentiment. And this isn't a dump on Jalopnik thing,
Sure,
because
sure.
I have friends who've worked at every era since and continue to work there now. Um, the and they've all made it something their own, which is always interesting to me.
Yeah.
But at the time, we didn't like where Jalopnik was headed, so we're like, let's just start our own blog, like
Yeah.
posting cool Craigslist finds that we liked, and we did Hooniverse, which technically started before Hoonigan. Um, and, um, and I'm friends with
Take
all the
that, Scotto. I'm
no, I'm
just
friends
kidding.
with all the Hoonigan
I'm
guys
just
too. Yeah,
playing.
yeah.
I love to
Um,
see it.
and and so we started, and like overnight it had good traffic, and
Yeah.
it's the website has admittedly fallen off, a whole fair bit, and I could go into a whole discussion as to why and whatnot, but it's hard to balance your pet project baby with the needs of freelance journalism and
Of
then your
course.
day jobs, and as you're, I'm sure, well aware.
Mhm.
So and I've been doing it for as long as I have. I like that I've turned this into Jalopnik back to Hooniverse. Doing it as long as I have, you can only devote so much time and energy to something, even if it's your baby.
Absolutely. I mean, tormenting tarmac is still been a passion project. We're about to turn 5 years old in September, and whatnot. It's very much been a passion project, and I I try to treat it as a full time job. I make negative dollars, not zero,
Absolutely.
Jeff. I make negative.
Oh, I know. I
You
know.
know what I mean? Like to the point where like my wife, shout out to my wife, whom I love, still refers this as a hobby, and I'm like, I don't. It is, but it isn't.
Right.
But I very much do have a full time job that is nowhere near what automotive journalism or automotive content creation is.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But like, hey, I'm still going to do this as much as I love it, and it's cool. But I
And
completely agree with you.
there is a place that I like the tagline because in my mind, Hooniverse has always been like an enthusiast voice.
Yeah.
So that's why I resonate with your tagline. I think it's a
Oh,
great
thanks,
one.
man.
And if enthusiasts have sometimes a very vocal voice,
Yeah.
which can help other people who aren't car enthusiasts in their car buying decisions. They don't always listen to us, and we're not the ones buying the most cars. So,
A
which is
hundred
why
percent.
there aren't manual wagons being flooded dealership showrooms. But it's still a very useful voice, and we help our friends help make decisions that make sense as long as we're reasonable with what.
I completely agree. I've even because the last thing I ever want to do is be hypocritical in an
Sure.
extent, right? And so I find it useful that you and myself and a lot of the others, like genuinely people who are in the game, just like yourself, y'all's voices are as important, if not the most important, to the criteria of what an auto manufacturer should be doing, whether it's on a commuter car or especially on the enthusiast end. But sometimes I also have to go ahead and realize that by complaining about what some of the enthusiast brands are doing, and then me not doing something about it economically, I am then putting my foot in my mouth because I'm telling them you should be doing this, but I'm not purchasing it. Now, I'm not purchasing it because maybe it's out of my budget or because of where my constraints are when it comes to me being in this part of my life and things of that nature. But I sometimes collectively, I sometimes have to go ahead and tell people, hey, listen, as an enthusiast, if you're going to go ahead and critique an automotive brand on something, you better be willing to put your money where your mouth is, because if not, you're just shouting at them from the mountaintops and no one's going to hear you. I'm curious to go ahead and get your perspective on that, because I think in a time that we're in where, a lot of our favorite enthusiast marks are starting to get a little bit way pricey.
Oh God,
Even on the
everything's so
normal
expensive.
side, it's like we can say all these things all we want, but if I'm not putting where my money where my mouth is, nothing is going to change, right?
I mean, how many people have $50,000 to spend on a
I sure as
vehicle?
hell don't, Jeff.
Like that's I don't I own a home in Orange County, and I
Yeah, yeah.
only could afford this one because it was $750, and I bought it off of a television show that didn't want it anymore. My other car outside is a '92 Range Rover that I scored a friend of a friend deal.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
By
no,
the way,
cars
I'm
are
sad that you sold your Montero. Shout out to the Montero.
I
We'll
I
get to
don't
that.
have I don't have seller's remorse. I did think I was going to keep that thing forever and give it to my daughter. I still love that car.
Right.
Um, Parts availability on Monteros is a nightmare.
Dude, Mitsubishi, bro. Like, I get it, but at the same time, come on, dude. It's not like you didn't have a presence. I feel you on that. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the yes, the enthusiast voice is tough because there can be a lot of pretty well informed opinions in that crowd,
Mm-hmm.
people who are in it and trying to live it. But then when they say, "Oh my God, I can't believe so and so doesn't offer a manual anymore," even when they did, that company did whatever vehicle it was, and I love manual gearboxes as much as everybody else. Uh, the take rate was probably 3%. And then there's been times when they'll be like, oh, Hyundai still offered a manual in the Veloster N. I don't even know if I remember if that was, or it might even be the Elantra. Well, they still
Yeah.
offered it, but it was a shitty manual. And they did
Yeah.
that so that they could phase it out because then we would complain about the manual.
Right.
There's ways around it. Porsche, though, like on the flip side, just announced they're actually bringing the manual back to a trim because so many people were like, yo, and that's a
Yeah.
brand where people do have the money to be like, hey, come on, what are you doing? Um,
You bring up a really good point. I'm gonna. I posted up on my Instagram stories earlier today, and I did see what the MSRP was, and as happy as I am that now you can get a Carrera S with a 6 speed on top of the Carrera T, and those being the only two cars before you get to a GT3 with a stick. And
yep.
it's a good 6 speed. It's not this, or actually, no, isn't it the same 7 speed, but they just took out of gear? Is that what it is?
I don't remember
Because I
because
don't think it's the same 6 speed that you can get in the GT3. I'm pretty sure they're two different transes.
but the Carrera T gets the one from the GT3, right?
Oh,
Or
does
no?
it? Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Okay, I
I
didn't.
think it does.
Okay, well then, if
I
that's
think
the
they got rid
case,
of that weirdo dogleg
that
one.
7 speed dog leg that's
Yeah.
actually
I
technically a
think it's
DCT.
just the six, but I haven't read.
I
I've
got
only
you.
seen the headlines.
I've seen the headlines too, but I did see that, dude. I saw the price, Jeff, and they're starting MSRP at 169, and
Yep.
I'm like, yo, bro, fuck, are we doing here, bro?
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, at some point, I love Porsche as much as anybody, but it's like
It's crazy.
that's a
Um,
that's a that's a huge number because, dude, that like less than 10 years ago, that was 991.1 MSRP.
so a I had a Carrera T recently. I had a Carrera S recently, not the new stick one, obviously. The
Yeah.
Carrera S I had
So is
as
that the
tested.
dot two or is that the dot one?
This would have been a dot two. It was like
992.2.
15 bucks.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Um, it this as tested sticker was like 178. Um, the Carrera T I had, I think, I forget what it was, but it was, you can make an argument that that's a special car, but is it that special? Porsche prices have been, I mean, I've gotten so tired about complaining about Porsche prices in
Sure.
my videos because then you get the average person who watches that video is someone who bought that car and is just searching for what people are saying about their car. So if
Searching
you're
for
like,
validation.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So like that they'll be like, the price is the price. I'm on my second one. It's like, yeah, dude, you're rich, so it doesn't matter. Like, and you can talk about inflation, but Porsche pricing doesn't follow inflation. It follows what they can say inflation, and they've done that on some models, and it's always hilarious to me. I had a great
Yeah.
conversation with the PR guy, who's a delightful person, one of the PR guys, when I got an early preview of the GT3 SC,
Mhm.
the convertible one.
I love that thing. I'm so hyped for it. I know it
And
sounds
everybody's driven
stupid,
it,
but I
says it
am.
rips. And I'm
Yeah.
not a convertible guy, but I like, it, whatever. I'm shocked they haven't made one before.
Sure.
The, he was like, well, if you tried to build the coupe version of this with all the stuff we've added, that would actually come out $20,000-$30,000 higher. So this is a deal. And we're talking about a car that's like $300,000.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, what world do we live in
Yeah.
that we're talking about this like it's a deal? And the world we live in is that the average new car transaction price is $50,000 or $51,000, and that's
Right.
so broken. It's
Yeah.
wild.
I mean, the average, I've talked about it in the past. The average car payment in the United States is anywhere between $750 to $800 a month. Like, dude. I mean, and I've talked about it. And granted, I don't own any crazy vehicles. I own two Kias in my life. My wife drives a Sedona minivan, a 2020, and I drive a 2017 Kia Sorento, which has had its fair bit of issues. And I'm almost done paying it off. And I had to get a new engine, courtesy of Kia, because
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of the rod bearing issues, but they are a thing.
Oh,
Yeah, and so my engine was donezo, but because they are working on not getting sued, they absolutely gave me a brand new engine, and I cannot thank them enough for it.
hell yeah,
And
dude. You get
but
another
like,
100,000 miles out of that thing now.
homie, that's the plan, right?
Yeah.
And but both of my car payments, and I'm almost done paying them off next year, combined, bro, is 850. Not to tell
Yeah.
anybody my finances, but again, for two cars, I'm paying what the average car payment is right now, and
Yeah.
that to me is absolutely wild.
We're at a point, where so my wife, we have her car's a 2016 Mazda CX-5, which we bought new.
Excellent car, I hear. Excellent car.
Yeah, it was. They've since kind of ruined it a little bit, but they just made the steering not as good, and
I
some
got
other
you.
Mazda's trying to go premium, and they're forgetting about Zoom Zoom, but whatever. The It's at 120. It just crossed 120. It's been paid
Yeah.
off for a couple years, and it's just, and my wife has a good salary, but it's just like, she's admittedly cheap, thank God, because I'm not. I would burn money. I would light it on fire, even though I don't have any of it.
Tell me
I'm
about it, brother.
terrible.
Same.
Yeah.
Same, dude.
If I showed you the spreadsheet on this, you'd shit yourself because I did. And I got like deals on stuff. The the but we're looking at it, and we have solar and a plug. So, and we're in California, so we could go
Right.
electric pretty easily here. And she's just like, well, she starts looking at new car prices, and she's like, and she's not a car person, but she's just like, what the hell is happening out there? I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, so look, certified pre-owned if we want to buy something new. Though on the flip side, the deals on, because the world went so up and so down on EVs, that the EV whiplash is going to work in my favor potentially. So a car like the Acura ZDX,
Yeah.
I'm seeing them with like 9,000 miles at like 33 grand. What
That's
was a
stupid cheap.
$70,000 car.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, that's almost a no brainer. Cause I know it's a GM underneath, but it's also, Honda dealership, basically.
It's
We're going to
still
get it
Honda.
serviced at. It's an
Yeah.
EV. It's going to need
And
minimal
honestly,
attention.
I don't think we've ever had the situation where the GM EV product has been bad.
Yes,
I
I
mean, we
agree.
can go all the way to the Volt and the Bolt.
Dude, I love the Volt. I would have
Yeah,
daily to Volt in a heartbeat.
the amount of times that I've heard Matt Farah talk about the Bolt being one of the best cars he ever owned, like he won't shut the hell up about that car, and for
Yeah,
good reason.
it's
And
funny. I
and,
forgot he had
and then
one.
you look at the obviously Cadillac has a really good, from the looks of it, it's the hybrid system has worked really well with the Escalade. The Silverado EV and the Sierra EV seem to be going in the right direction,
They're
right?
good. The only one I had a problem with was the Trail Boss, because it was like the most untrail boss thing I've ever driven, which was a huge
Yeah.
disappointment. But the Escalade IQ is
Mhm.
it's so perfect as an EV.
Yeah.
It's it's huge, so the weight doesn't matter. It's unbelievably powerful. It has presence. It's everything an Escalade should be. It's like,
Right.
so the V on one hand is amazing, for it sounds better
For
than a
what it
C8.
is,
It sounds
exactly.
better than a C8 Corvette. And then The IQ is just, oh, it's unbelievably good as an
Yeah.
electric vehicle, which is like, I could see this makes sense for these big luxury brands to do this. But they're buy if they can sell it to their buyers, like if there's one coming, a Bentley EV SUV makes perfect. The
All the
bigger
sense
the
in the world.
vehicle, an EV makes sense because then the weight isn't as much of an issue.
I completely agree. I mean, that's why I've always told people, anybody who go ahead and goes and brings it up, I'm like, Rolls Royce Spectre being the EV, like if you have a problem with that, I don't think you fully understand Rolls Royce. Like, and I say that as nicely as possible to anybody who's willing to
Sure,
listen. And granted, I am not the type of person who's going to drop 550 grand on a
of
Spectre,
course.
but you look at it, what is the MO when it comes to a Rolls Royce in 2026? Serenity,
Mm.
pristine, right? Just pure, the essence of luxury, quiet, flying what is it? A G600, but on tarmac, right? Is that yeah, whatever the jets are, the private jets. I don't
Sure,
even know.
sure. Some
And
fancy
so
Gulfstream. Yeah.
some fancy Gulfstream. Like it is a fancy Gulfstream that almost weighs as much as said
Oh
Gulfstream,
God,
but
yeah, yeah.
on the road. Like I went to a local shout out to the Vault of Scottsdale, who is one of the cooler storage facilities that we have in the Phoenix
Oh,
area. They're
cool. Yeah,
based out
yeah.
of Scottsdale and whatnot. And so I saw a Spectre over there, banging spec, Jeff.
Mm.
And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, yeah, man, I would, I'd have one. I understand the price is a little bit abhorrent, but at the end of the day, like if I was in the mood for that, if or like the moment that Rolls Royce decides we're gonna go ahead and do the Cullinan on an EV platform, I'm like, yeah, you should.
Right.
What's stopping you?
Yeah.
Like, listen, I get it, a V12 twin turbo, cool, but like
And I actually don't think their buyers are enthusiasts. Like I think an enthusiast would lean more towards
their
Bentley or
drivers,
Aston
their
Martin.
private drivers might be, but
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
actual owner. Yeah,
I think they just want to be seen in that car,
agreed.
and if their day can be more luxurious, more soundproofing, more blah blah blah, more push the world out because I'm rich. This is my
Absolutely.
cocoon. It's a no brainer.
I completely agree. And I'm looking, and Bentley's interesting because they have this like two-faced. They're like Bentley is getting to this like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde that I absolutely love because
That's
you
true.
have the Continental, like a Flying Spur, for example, probably one of the coolest sedans on the planet, dude. With the 4 liter V8 twin turbo mixed in with the hybrid system, like talk
Yeah.
about the perfect cannonball car in the best way. And then you've got the new Continental Super Sports that finally dropped a few weeks ago, which is the essence of going back to what used to be Bentley Motorsport and whatnot.
Yes.
So it's like this duality that they have that you're like, okay, we have two clients. We either have the
Yeah.
one that doesn't want to buy a Rolls Royce and would rather be in a Bentley and wants the full serenity that they can absolutely still get. And then we've got that other individual that wants the most hardcore sports car you can buy, but they don't want a Ferrari, they don't want a Lambo, or they
Yeah.
don't want a Porsche. Or by the way, or they have all of those and they
Yes.
have an Aston, but now they're like, I remember what Bentley used to be, and boy, howdy, because they still are in Le Mans and stuff like that, or they
Yeah.
were.
Yeah. They
And you're
were.
like, yeah, who the hell wouldn't want that? Like, that's freaking so hardcore and so gangster at the same time.
Yeah, young, they went after Young Money hooligans and I say that
Yeah.
respectfully in a good way. They
In the
did the
best way.
deal with Pastrana. They invited Vin Anatra to Goodwood to make content with them. I was on a Bentley launch for the Continental GT with Vin as my drive partner, and
Yeah.
like I think he formed a relationship on that trip that has paid off well for him.
Shout out to
But
Vin. Let's go,
yeah,
man.
yeah, and no, Vin's doing it very right. And so yeah, I think, and they're potentially building an off-road focused Bentayga, which would be sick based on the
In no way, shape, or
concept they
form
showed
am
at
I
Fat Ice.
no way, shape, or form am I surprised by hearing that, by the way.
Well, and it's funny too, the off-road thing, because like Audi is paying attention to what Bentley did to that concept, and Audi's talking about doing one too. And like because off-road money is so hot right now,
It
which
is.
I love. I'm here for it, but it's also very funny to watch all these people get into it. Toyota's been like, yeah, we've been doing this for years, man. The Tacoma TRD Pro is now $67,000.
Which,
Those
by the
South
way, is
Zeros are
stupid.
yours. Yeah, so stupid.
and
Seriously
by the way,
off-road.
Ranger Raptor is like mid to high. Ranger Raptor might be where it's at when it comes to the best off-road
It's a
proposition out there.
1000% where it's at. It's
Yeah.
to me, it's not even factoring in money
Yeah.
and other things too. Actually, I do love the way it drives and the way it looks, and I'm a bit by. I've always liked Ford compared to some of the
Mhm.
other automakers.
I always give them
Um,
credit because they brought out the F-150 Raptor 16 years ago. So like credit
yeah,
due to where
head of
it's
the
due.
game.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah,
they talk about changing the game. They literally changed the game, and it's amazing to see where it's gotten to this
it
point,
did,
two
and
decades later.
it's wild too that they've built up now such a portfolio of off-road shit. I love that we've transitioned from Bentley to off-road racing. That's why there's times I miss doing my podcast, but I also know how much work this is and how little money there is in it unless your
Tell
name
me
is
about it, dude.
Mike um, or
Yeah.
Matt.
Well, that being said, that tells me whenever you feel like you want a podcast and you want to hop on, just give me a call. You're
All right.
on. Let's do it. But
And
yeah,
do it
please carry
and do
on.
it.
Of
Yeah, yeah.
course.
No, I was thinking about that because before the podcast, I was walking my dog. I'm like, how many episodes of Hooniverse did I actually do? Because it was a lot. And
Yeah.
there's a period where our audience was pretty big because I was working with then Chris Hayes, who was then Farrah's producer, and we built up an old Shout Engine network, that old school podcasting network, and
Absolutely.
we built it up pretty big. And I just never was. I'm not a good businessman, so I didn't know how to monetize this shit. And I got tired of driving to Redondo Beach to record with him. That's all it was. I just got
Yeah.
the time and effort spent doing it. As
But
you
it's
know,
so much time that goes into it, dude. There's so much time that goes into it. I don't think people realize,
yeah.
like here, and I'll get us back to Ford and
I
the
was
Ford
just
Pro.
thinking the
No,
same
no, no,
thing.
but
Everybody
it's the truth.
listening right now is
But it's
like,
the truth.
finish a thought.
I just need people to understand. Like, for example, I live on the west end of Phoenix, right? So by mileage, I am 32 miles away from downtown Phoenix, which means I am, and no joke when I say this, I'm 45 to 50 miles away from Scottsdale, which is where, to me, my biggest audience is, the biggest amount of things that I'd like to do as an automotive enthusiast is and whatnot. And as much as I love Scottsdale and its bouginess and also its classiness for the right market, damn, dude, having to drive out there for like an hour and plus at a time and then coming back home, it does a toll on you, dude. I
Oh
did
yeah.
Scottsdale every day for 6 consecutive days during Barrett Jackson auction
Oh,
week in January. So Monday to Saturday, I was going from here to Scottsdale, and it was 50 miles there, 50 miles back.
dude, at some point you got to balance hotel costs versus fuel costs.
I thought about it for 2 seconds. I was like, would it be better if I just went ahead and found a cheap ass hotel in my city and stayed there? But then I wouldn't be home and then I wouldn't see
Right.
my kids. And I'm
I was
like,
gonna say,
I'm doing this for the love of the game, sure, but like
right.
I'm not making it. I'm losing money because of the amount of gas that I'm spending and stuff like that. It doesn't make any sense. But I did think about that thought did come into my brain. So if anybody wants to sponsor Tormenting Tarmac for next January during Barrett Jackson Auto Week, tormentingtarmac@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Um,
What's that dope ass? There's another dope ass car storage place out there.
oh, Auto
They
Car Club, right?
auto. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Auto, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're doing it big. Yeah, Vault and Auto to me are exceptional at what they
Tell them
do.
you'll record podcasts on site and then
Well,
send them.
that's the cool thing. Actually, that's what we're doing. Shout out to the Vault of Scottsdale for, we're going to start doing more live podcasts over there and whatnot. Big shout out to Mark Valentino, who's the director of operations, and of course Ron Evans, who's the founder of the Vault. And so we've developed a really cool relationship that's going to be really, really cool. So I'm excited to do that and whatnot. But from the monetary perspective of like driving to and from Scottsdale during that time, which you want to be there, right?
What if you pitch it? What if you pitch it like this? So right now, our friends, our mutual friends, Matt and Zach,
Yeah.
are doing
In
a
Detroit as we
podcast in
speak.
Woodward, making
Yep.
money. Christian James Hand is opening for them. It's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Um, whatever. Say they're charging. I don't know what they're charging. But what if you charged $5 a ticket? $5 as like a get me a hotel fund. That's it.
Yeah.
$5. In
You
this
know
day and
what?
age of inflation, that is nothing.
$5 is nothing. Five
That's
bucks is
nothing.
nothing. It would be, and honestly, it's also a great way to go ahead and
You
bring
got
in
a hundred
business
people
into the
there.
vault.
You got
Yeah.
a hundred people there, dude.
During Barrett Jackson Auto Week, it wouldn't
That's at least
be
a Best Western.
horrendous.
That's
Yeah.
at least a
Okay.
Best Western.
Okay. I guess I gotta talk to Mark.
I'm
We're
saying
gonna have the convo, bro.
$5.
Whoever's listening, if you're down to spend $5 to go ahead and watch a podcast live, You know what? Jeff's gonna come. Jeff, you're coming down to
In
Phoenix
January, I
during.
can maybe make it work.
Can you do it? Okay, because like
We'll
we
see.
had,
Maybe.
dude, you
I
missed
want
out in
no
January.
cuts, but now you
Yeah,
got to raise your price to 750, and then there's a,
750.
a VIP package of $12 where you get a koozie. Like you got to add on
15
packages.
bucks to get a picture with me and Jeff. It's gonna be great.
Oh, now the price is going to go
Dude,
down
but
from that.
you missed out in January. Like we actually had a couple people in town. Like I actually ran into Farah at Barrett Jackson. Who
Oh,
else
that's
was
funny.
here? Mike Musto was in town.
Yeah, they're
Vinny
getting paid
Russo
to
was
be
in town.
there though.
Uh, Maybe. Well, I think Matt came just to go ahead and hang. I think Matt may have been planning the route for Road and Track. So
Oh,
by
see, that
technicality,
counts
he
as
was
being
getting
paid.
paid by
Yeah,
Road and Track. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a good point.
That
Who else?
little side hustle which is almost like separate from his road
Yeah.
and track duties. Poof, man.
He's West Side Collector Car Storage really popping off out there in the LA area. Respect to him,
Yeah,
but who else? Oh, GI Jen. I got a chance to meet GI Jen while she was in town.
that sounds super. Oh yeah, yeah,
She
yeah, yeah.
works at Willow, right? Yeah, she's
Right,
working
right.
at Willow right
Sorry,
now.
sorry, Jen. Yes, yes.
Yeah, shout out to
Because
Jen. She's
it's always I always think Guy Jen,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Japanese. Yeah,
Okay. See, I don't know him, but that makes sense. Okay,
I
cool.
think that's what it is. But she's awesome. Yeah, she works at Will. Yes.
Yeah, and so like that, but there was a lot of people out here and stuff like that, and it was really freaking dope to be quite honest. And so it's becoming its own thing, dude. Yeah, I'm telling you, if you get a chance to come down in January, I mean, it's gorgeous weather out here in
I've
the
been
desert.
once, and it was a long time ago, and I
Yeah,
drove.
you got to come
Uh,
down, bro. I think you'd have a good time. But I'll
just
get us,
make sure the cooling system in the Range Rover's working, or if I get the radio done in this, I'll take this out.
dude. Take it windows down all the way down to 10. Let's go.
I
We're
never roll
in,
the windows up in the Mustang
and nor
because
should you,
they
because
just
it sounds.
rattle in the doors.
Tell me about it. Listen, my window regulator broke on the Sorrento right now, so I currently have some duct tape holding it up at this moment in time, so I can fix it later.
I feel
And
that.
dude, I have like if it starts to rattle, so you have to go ahead and put the other two windows down, but then you're
Oh,
dying of heat because it's like
for the
110
noise.
outside. It's first world problems, ladies and gents. But let me get us back to Ford products really quickly because
Sure.
like we were discussing the fact that they changed the
They
game
changed the game.
and the Ranger Raptor has done this exceptional job of taking because the F-150 Raptor, as dope as it is in both the V6 and of course the R, and shout out to the TRX for doing its thing and coming back. Thank God Dodge brought it back. Um, the Ranger Raptor is a really, really good size compared
It's
to those
amazing.
two,
It's
right?
perfect.
And again, like
But
what is it?
it's
50, probably
hard
like
to
57
park.
grand.
It's hard to park an F-150 Raptor. And I know people are like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You can make
No,
all your
it's
jokes you
difficult
want.
as hell.
Dude, big trucks suck to park right now. I just had the new, I can't talk about it because it's embargoed in terms of driving stuff, but I had the
Sure.
new diesel power wagon a couple weeks ago. And it's a big, I can
I've
swear on
seen
this
it.
podcast, right?
Yeah, of
It's a
course you
big fucking truck.
can.
And then like, and I've driven tons of stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
for decades now. And parking even just half-ton trucks these days sucks. The Ranger Raptor is the perfect size. It's quicker to 60 than the Bronco Raptor because of it's like something to do with gearing or wheelbase or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it's
I
it's
feel like
a
it might
little
be
bit
lighter too, right?
maybe that's part of it. Yeah, with the
Yeah.
bed instead of the rear hatch area and a big ass tire over the back. It's such a good package and it's priced so well
Yeah.
that the TRD, and I know the TRD Pro has more of a well-rounded mission, whereas Ranger Raptor can do a lot of stuff off-road, but is more desert racer first, but it can do everything else too.
Sure.
If you bought a TRD Pro over the Ranger Raptor, I think you're insane.
Dude, I remember when it got announced. I think it was like 2024. The TRD Pro got announced, and it was going to be a 67 or a $68,000 MSRP. And I
Yep.
was like, I guarantee you, every single Toyota dealership on the West Coast is going to go ahead and have an ADM on that fucker. You
Yep.
knew it was going to happen, so I was like, so what we're looking at is really $80,000 for a Tacoma. And I was like, listen, dude, I understand that Tacoma has this legacy, and I'm sure it might be an amazing truck. There is no way in hell. Like if I'm paying 80 grand, Jeff, at that moment in time, I am straight up looking at an F-250. At that point, I'm looking at a
Yes.
Silverado 2500, a Sierra heavy duty. Like
How much
I'm
is an
looking at
RHO? Do you
A
know?
Ram Cummins. Like that's what I'm looking at, dude, because like if you're going to be spending, or I'm already looking at a Raptor. Like at 80
Yeah.
grand, I'm straight up. I'm in Raptor. I'm in F-150 Raptor territory at that point. I'm
Yeah.
forget everything else.
Though some dude around the corner from me, so one of the fleet delivery guys was dropping off a truck and he was like cleaning it off before he pulled around the street.
Yeah.
And he said some neighbor came up to him and was like, "Hey, what's going on with this truck?" Blah 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 blah. Because they were dropping off this new Power Wagon, and they
Right.
also had an F-250 Tremor that was like the support vehicle. And they're like, "Oh no, no, we're just doing this." And he's like, "Oh, you got some badass trucks. I just bought a new Raptor, and I've seen it in the neighborhood. It's this gorgeous green color, blah blah blah, and it's
Sick.
not an R." And the guy was like, "Yeah, I only paid 118." It's like,
Get fucked, bro.
exactly, dude, you are an idiot.
118. That's insane, dude. Because like
118.
118 will get you a used Raptor R right now. And
Yeah.
that's still and that's still too much, by the way.
Yeah. And
Dude,
what is new TRX starts at,
95 maybe?
oh shit, I drove it recently and I forget.
Yeah.
It's great. And on
Yeah.
the flip side too, RHO got a lot of hate and I get why. It's such a good truck and it has so
Okay.
much less weight on the nose. Like anybody who actually cares about dynamic driving off-road was like, no, what they've done makes, dude, the hate the Hurricane engine gets. I should start writing a book about it now and publish it 10 years from now as like a look back piece because the Hurricane engine is just this, it's such a wonderful engine. I don't know about
We're,
reliability. I don't,
we're
that's
about to
the,
find out in the next like 5 years. Yeah.
yeah. So my blind spot, because I get asked this question a lot, is like, well, what about, that's why you ask, like, do you know about the Kia thing? And like people are like, well, what about the reliability of this? I'm like, bro, I have a brand new car for a week. I tell you what it's like here.
Yeah.
I don't know reliability. That's for owner forums and consumer reports and blah 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 blah. And I
Yeah.
wish I knew more about reliability so I could give better buying choices. But reliability is out of my window.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if I hear things, I will bring it up. Absolutely. If I
Absolutely.
like I just had the Lucid Gravity,
Hmm.
and I've spoken to friends who've had them. Like I called Jason Fensky. He was like, "What's your
Yeah.
hey man? Give me some Lucid, blah blah blah." Because the CPO market on Lucids is so tantalizing.
Bro. What aren't we looking like 60 grand for an
For
air?
like 1,000 horsepower car.
Wow,
And
dude.
I'm like, well, 60 with payments, yeah, we would push them out. So, it'd be to drop the payment, we'd put some money down to bring it down a little bit, but like that's so much car for 60,000. And talking to Fensky about his engineering explained, if you guys anybody listening doesn't know Jason
Shout
Fensky,
out to
awesome
him.
dude.
Amazing content. Amazing
Oh,
content.
so good.
Yeah.
Like just carved his own niche and has crushed it and owned it and done very well. And he's a really nice guy. But he lemon lawed his air, and then they gave him, I don't know how much I'm supposed to say. They gave him a long-term gravity, and he had it, and it was in the shop so much. He said, "Dude, I don't want it back."
Right.
And the gravity I had for a week, which has probably had multiple software updates and blah 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 blah, was flawless.
Right.
Um, so my experience with the current iteration of it was, whew, the most badass minivan on the planet. You call it a whatever you want. To me, it's basically a minivan, just doesn't have sliding doors. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying minivan derogatory because secretly minivans are can be a hero car.
Listen, okay, let me as a minivan connoisseur these days,
Sure,
if you
sure. Keep
will.
talking as I grab a
Yeah,
beverage out of the
of
fridge.
course, man. Yeah, I've my wife has owned my wife and I have owned our Kia Sedona for the last 6 years. I, as a man of taste, it took forever and a day for me to go ahead and finally come to terms that we needed a minivan. First of all,
How many
and
kids?
we have 3 kids, which
Oh,
already makes me a legend in the fact that I got my wife pregnant 3 times, which means that I have to go ahead and drive around in a minivan, which means I'll let y'all figure that out. Amen to that. Shout out to my wife. She's fine as hell. That's the first thing. Second of all, I've come to cheers to our ladies, man. Cheers to our ladies. Let's fucking go. But the other thing is, that might be the opening of this podcast, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll figure it out. But the other
or,
thing
or
is,
or we'll lose everybody if you're like, yo,
or we'll
minivan.
lose minivans. We're
We
out. It's
lost.
like, but should you be? But the other thing is, and me as a ingester, if you will, of automotive media, like that's all you guys use as camera cars when you guys are out on track or you're doing something like that. Like minivans are the best camera cars ever, dude, because
especially
you
because
take
those are
a
rentals.
hell
So
yeah, and they're fast, dude. Those are fast
rental car
V6s.
slash minivan. Oh, dude, Pacifica, the all-wheel drive Pacifica. My favorite one, which does well, I have two favorite ones. One, I'm
Yeah.
finally going to get to meet a legend after Car Week, but the one that deserves a shout out, which wasn't technically a minivan because it didn't have sliding doors, Ford Flex
Yep.
with the EcoBoost. They hit $50,000 at a time when that was kind of crazy, so that kind
Yeah.
of soured people on it. But that was the ultimate, like me and four bros are going to Vegas for the weekend car.
No doubt. Yeah.
You fold down the middle row, And then the other one I'm finally getting to drive. I haven't scheduled it yet, but I've been talking about it because I know Mercedes Classic has one in their heritage fleet, R63.
You fucking legend, bro. Let's
So
go.
I've
That
always
actually
I've
that
always
might
wanted
be.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that I mean, dude, a V8. I mean, listen, I will give credit to where credit is due and give Bisimoto all the love on the planet for creating the craziest Odyssey of all time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the R63, knowing that Mercedes built that from scratch, or well,
Crazy.
that is a production factory car, is so cool to know that that is the
Yep.
case. And on top of that, you mentioned like the Ford Flex, like the Ford Freestyle, even though it definitely falls apart after a certain portion of time. Ford Freestyle is very similar. They right around the same time as the Ford Flexes were out there, and that was almost like a lifted wagon, if you will. You know what I mean? My mother-in-law had one of those back in the day, and it lasted her for forever and a day until she got rid of it. But Ford Freestyles also, but like a Honda Odyssey, I mentioned Busy, but like stock a Honda Odyssey, dude. I was driving one when we were testing one out because my wife and I were looking to see if we bought that one or if we bought the Sedona. We went with the Sedona because it was brand new and still less expensive than a CPO Odyssey.
Oh, for
And
sure. Yeah.
so, yeah, and because the resale on a Honda Odyssey is way more than people realize and stuff like that. But for good
Yeah.
reason, mind you, for good reason.
Right.
It's a great car. But when I was driving it, the reason probably why I fell in love with it so much, I was like, yo, I feel like I'm driving in a lifted up Accord. It
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
was driving an Accord, and Accord and Camry are two of the best econo cars ever made, right? So if you kind
Easily.
of get that sensation, but you're lifted higher up off the ground and you've got all the room on the planet, an amazing that's a W right there. Like that's a no brainer. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's such a good car.
Yes. Totally agree. Totally agree. And it's funny when you said lifted. Then I was like, could you lift a Flex? Because now I'm thinking like, what could be the next project car?
Bro, oh my gosh.
Instead of
Yo,
the
put it on a on a Ranger Raptor chassis.
Yeah, yeah,
Yo,
yeah.
God,
That'd be the shit.
we're cooking, bro.
No,
We're
I don't
so
have the
cooking.
skills or the money.
No, oh my gosh. Well, I
Someone out
mean,
there,
again,
Tate
if
the Gambler should do it.
anybody out there, Hooniverse and I are giving you the IPO on this one. We're
Yeah,
willing to give it to
take
you
it,
because if you
take it.
got the money, yo, have at it, bro. Let's go. Yo, but I gotta
Totally.
ask you something, man, because like I try to catch up on your stories as best as I can. You have so many great articles throughout the years and everything like that. One of them you recently did, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the M5 going orca, go check,
Oh,
going to find the orcas with your family and stuff like that.
sure.
Because what I really loved about that particular piece, and I know that you have been doing this a lot, is you're not doing your typical like automotive test. Because I've gotten to a point, Jeff, when it comes to reading my automotive media, although I appreciate, your typical, like, I went on a press trip and this is what it was. That's cool. But I also like somebody taking a car on an adventure. And so you took a BMW G90 M5 wagon with your family to go ahead and check out some orcas up in Seattle. Like, that's freaking dope as all can be.
So I love that. Very kind words. Thank you. So
Yeah.
this is some inside baseball. So
I love inside baseball. Hit me.
sometimes you'll plan these trips out. Like, I want to do this. I want this car. This is going to be the story.
Yeah.
Um, this was I'm flying into Seattle. We're going to spend the day there. We're driving up north to this port town called Ana Cortez, taking a ferry over to San Juan Island. Beautiful trip, amazing part of the world. We want to see orcas in the wild. So plan the trip. I didn't plan the story or the car. I called the press fleet office up there. I'm like, hey, what's available? And they go, oh, we've got this, and this. And one of them was M5 wagon. I was like, M5 wagon, no brainer. So
You
I
kind of
didn't
have to
go up
do it.
there. I didn't go up there with the plan for the story. And then I go up there. I did bring my big camera so I could get, because I was going to photograph orcas.
Hell yeah.
Um, and I, on the crazy thing on the island, this tiny island, San Juan Island, I'm like, well, I definitely have the coolest car on the island right now. And there were some like decent Range Rovers, but it was mostly like Pacific Northwest Subaru shit heaps, which is
Right.
fine. That's perfect for up there. But then I go to this random oyster bar on the other side of the island that was a dope ass place to hang out. I wish I could remember the name of it. I'm sure it's very easy to find. I parked next to an M3 swapped, what era 3
Oh,
Series?
I think I
Like
read it. It was like an F80, wasn't it?
it was an F80,
Yeah, yeah,
full
yeah.
wide body, 6-speed manual. And they're walking out and they see my car, which was like this weird peanut butter brown speck
Hmm.
on that car, which was like a 1 year color. They're like, holy shit. And I'm looking at their car going, and meanwhile, my wife and daughter are like, well, we're going to the restaurant. So like, have fun,
Yeah.
which I'm used to that.
Yeah.
That's fine. And I get it too. Um,
Same.
I'm geeking out on their shit. They're geeking out on my shit. They're like, yeah, we did a full swap. Like we also have a narrow body 330 E46 swap, which is cooler in my mind because it's
Agreed.
more sleeper. Um, this had, Montana plates. I'm like, this is the only this is one of the few cars I'm like, Montana plates, fine. You guys go ahead. This is so rad. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't care
We
what you do.
appreciate y'all.
And then I was on the ferry back to the island again, and the cars were nose to tail,
Yeah.
or yeah. So cool to see that. But I got back and I was like, shit, I got to do something with my all these photos I took. And I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? Everybody makes fun of the weight. I'm not going to specifically call out the weight in the article, but like hunting whales and the blah, 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 this fat
Sure.
fucking BMW. So inside baseball for you. I didn't plan that story. It was one of those happy little accidents.
Dude, aren't
Thank
those
you.
the
Glad
best
you enjoyed it.
though?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. They are the best because like sometimes me as a podcaster, I'll go ahead and I have a plan, right? And I think to myself, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get this. I'm going to go ahead and speak to this person. Like I went to the Velocity Invitational in Sonoma like almost 2 years ago. It's October of 2024. And I was thinking to myself, I'm looking like, okay, I'll record with a couple people and stuff like that. And come to find out, and I had heard, I was like, okay, Jensen Button is supposed to be here. So that was a happy little accident. I run into Jensen Button and I get 6 minutes worth of his time. And I'm like, yo, dude, that's not normal. Like for me, for
That's
anybody, like
awesome.
that's a Formula One world champion. And I'm like, yeah, that's a happy little accident. Shout out to Bob Ross. And those are the best,
Always.
right? Those are the best, and you love to see that. And I guess what I was trying to go ahead and get at is I have been noticing more, and maybe this is happy little accidents, maybe these are planned, but I feel like a lot of your contemporaries and yourself are starting to go ahead and take advantage of more of that of the writing about the experience of the adventure, where the car isn't the main subject. Everything else happens to be the main subject, with the car being a part of that. I guess my question to you is the landscape of journalism changing a little bit to the sense that maybe the reader doesn't always want to hear about the car, but they want to hear about perhaps not even the lifestyle per se, but just the experience of it. Like I remember a few years ago, I think it was Alana Schur, and she may have like raced an Audi e-tron against a train. Like, and not
Nice.
like full on racing, but it was like catching up to the sick train. And I think it was like
Yeah,
through
yeah.
Colorado or something like that. And I'm like,
Rad.
yo, that's sick as hell,
Yeah, it's
right?
sick.
So like I'm
Love that.
seeing more of that as we go along. And it reminds me of one of my favorite articles I've ever read, which was PJ O'Rourke cannonballing a Ferrari 308 from New York to
Oh, of
LA,
course. Sure.
right? Like that's iconic. Shout out to
Yeah.
PJ O'Rourke. But like I and you think to yourself, okay, well, what's the main subject of that? And say, I guess it's the Ferrari 308. But to me, the
No.
main subject was PJ getting a chance of a lifetime to go ahead and do 2,900 miles from New York to LA. By the way, shooting down all the way to Atlanta and then crossing through the south of the country. Like that to me is the story. That to
Yeah.
me is the adventure.
Oh
And
yeah. The
so
Ferrari's a back note. The Ferrari's
the Ferrari's a
the
back note.
the
Exactly. So
subtle waft of the meteor grapes in that bottle of wine. The
exactly.
um the I like doing those types of stories. It really depends on who you're writing it for because certain audiences yes, certain audiences no. So like at
Right.
Motor1, I could pitch that story, and my editor is very good about like if I pitch it in a certain way, he'd be like, "Yeah, that's cool. Do that story." But I didn't bother trying to pitch that whale one because that was for Hooniverse. That was fine.
Yeah.
But other times, if it's a first drive, that can be tougher. Where it's like, all right, here's this. They're just going to want to know like, it's the new the Charger has the 6 pack now. Here's
Right.
what's good. Here's what's bad. Blah 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 blah. There's still room to find that, and people are still good about finding that. But I would like to do more of that too because I prefer writing that way. I did a story a couple years ago. What was it, like 2 years ago, I guess? Yeah. So my family and I saved up for a while and we did a dream trip. We went to Africa
Oh,
and
sick.
spent 2 weeks safari. And we were in a 70 series Land Cruiser, and I was fascinated that Land Rovers they're not gone, but they're so few now because the tour companies were tired of fixing them. So they've
Yeah.
all switched to 70 series Land Cruisers. And I text my tax guy while I was over there. I was like, yo, if I write about this, can I write any of this trip off? He goes, definitely. I'm like, hell yeah. So when I got home,
Let's
I just wrote,
go.
yeah. So when I got home, I wrote a story because I borrowed a really nice lens from a photographer friend, and probably the pictures I'm most proud of are from that trip, and barely any photos in the article of the car. It was
Right.
of the journey and why the Toyota is important though to them. So like you still accompany it, and those are easily the best stories to write for sure.
Absolutely. You know what the funny thing is? If I'm not mistaken, Lynn Woodward, who is I have not had the privilege of meeting her nor actually have had her on the podcast, but I need to change that relatively soon. And whatnot. But she has been on shout out to my good friends over at that car show podcast, Ryan Barkey, Dan Pilling, Lindsay Jesh. And they had Lynn Woodward again on their podcast like not too long ago, and she talked about the safari trip, and I'm pretty sure she went ahead and name dropped you, saying that it was
She did.
your idea, that or it told her, hey, listen, you want to do it,
Yes.
fucking do it, because it's
Yeah.
gonna blow your mind.
Our trips were about a year apart, and I was like, dude,
Yeah,
just put the money down. Just do it. Just go.
just do it.
If you are able, and like I said, we saved up for like 2 years for this
Yeah.
trip.
Oh, no, no, no,
We
it's definitely worth the money. And
It's
granted,
beyond.
Africa, dude, it's Africa. It is far as hell away, and everything like that, but it is one
So
of the
good.
most beautiful parts of this. I've never had the pleasure of going, and I would
Go.
love to,
Find a
right?
way. Go.
I
Especially
have
with
to.
three
I have
kids.
to. Dude, it's where we all came from. At the end of the day, you really want to go ahead and look into it. We all came in from Africa, baby.
Yeah,
And that is literally, talk about that literally being the motherland.
oh yeah.
And it is just such an enormously beautiful part of this world. And it's got so many different places that you can go ahead and experience. You want to experience the deserts and like Egypt and Morocco and that portion, that north portion of the continent.
It's
And then
funny
you,
though how much in Africa, because we were in Eastern Africa, they're
yeah,
like, we don't consider that part Africa. And if you're up there, they're like, we don't consider that part Africa. They're like, no, you're in the real Africa. Like, and each part is kind of separate like that, which is fascinating to hear that it's like, all
yeah,
right, well, it's a big fucking continent, so I get it.
it is.
But Tanzania, which is where we were, and then we did a few days on Zanzibar to finish it out. It was one of the first vacations ever where normally when a vacation ends, I'm like, all right, I gotta get back to work.
Right.
I got shit to do. Thankfully I have a fun job, so like I know I got this car scheduled. I get some fun stuff even after vacation's over. This is the first vacation I was legit sad it was over because I'm
Yeah.
like, there's a chance I'll never be back here. There's a
That's
moment where we are the last place we stayed in Africa before we went to sorry the last place we stayed in Tanzania before hopping to Zanzibar was this gorgeous tented lodge in on the Serengeti and had a balcony. And I'm just sitting there having a glass of wine as the sun is setting, and I can see zebra in the distance and giraffe in the distance. And I said, if the meteor came right fucking now, I'd be like, all right, it was a good life. That's
it's
all I
been
needed.
good.
That's
Yeah,
all I needed to see. Yeah, yeah,
that's so good, dude. No, what an amazing situation to be in. What an amazing trip to be able to go ahead and take with your wife and with your daughter and stuff like that. What an experience for your daughter, right? That at her young age, she, her parents give her the
she's
opportunity to go ahead
very,
and see.
very lucky.
Yeah, she's really, you're really lucky, homegirl. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't get a passport till I was 27. So
Homie, I need to renew my passport. It's been way too long. And but like what an amazing experience. And my thing is also it's beyond education. It's cult.
mm,
I always talk about people being cultured. I think that the world needs to be cultured more. We all need to go ahead and appreciate each other's cultures as best as possible. We're all so different in this world. So when us as an American citizen get a chance to go ahead and visit this amazing, beautiful part of the world, and seeing how, first of all, how good we have it here in the States. That's the first thing. Regardless of wherever you side, man, we got it good in the States. You go
yes,
over there and you notice the remoteness of it, and you notice what, wow, this is how some of these people live, and
yeah,
it's intense. But then you also see them make it happen, and then you go into the
yes,
wilderness and you see, so this is what in 1993 Disney was trying to show us with the Lion King, and to an extent, right? And I say that jokingly, but you're like,
yeah.
holy smokes, like this is crazy cool. Like, and you'll never see this in another part of the world. You go to India and then you get home, you go through the forest and you go ahead and see all these cool tigers and these
Yeah.
elephants and things of that nature. It's amazing. And just every single part of the world you can go to, like it's just the more cultured we are and the more experience we have, the more understanding we'll go ahead and be of how to be
Yeah.
the best human possible and also take care of this world to the best of our abilities. You know what I mean?
Right. That's the goal. Yeah. My dad was in the Navy for 16 years, so he traveled around and we didn't as a family, unfortunately, just for money reasons.
Yeah.
But him being gone during his Navy days, I think, and me never getting to do that and then getting a taste of it. The first time I went to Europe was in as a journalist.
Cool.
Um, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is awesome." Like,
Yeah.
I didn't do a semester at sea in college, which I regret to this day. So I'm like trying to like make up for lost time, and so to get to our daughter's had a passport since she was young. She's been to Costa Rica, she's been to Africa, she's been to a couple other spots, and yeah, instilling that in the idea of traveling and meeting other cultures, not just traveling for you, because traveling is fun for you, but
Of
no, to
course.
see how everybody else does it is so amazing. I just was on this crazy, and this actually relates to cars, so I'm bringing it back. I was just on this mega trip. Audi sent out a note. They're like, "Hey, could you send a journalist who could be here to see the new Q9 SQ9? We're going to show it in Munich, and then stay the weekend in Austria, and then the next week drive the RS5." That sounds awesome when you first hear it, but think about the logistics. Like, you have kids, I have a
Yeah, I
child,
got you.
a family, so like that's a long time to be from home. I looked at the schedule. I asked my wife, I was like, "Hey, this is a long one, but we got nothing." She's like, "Go for it." So it was a very special moment where, did the work stuff, then had basically a weekend off in I've never been to Munich. I've never been to Salzburg. And then when I was in Salzburg, because there were a few of us journalists who did do both trips. Not everybody could, but some of us
Right.
stretched it out. So like there was a crew of us there. And it was an Audi trip. So like, do whatever you want. Here's your hotel. We'll be doing dinners. If you want to meet for dinner, you don't have to. So I looked at the distance of various cities by train. And I said, "Well, fuck it, dude. Vienna, Austria is not far." I was like, "I can do a morning train, be back and hang out with you guys for dinner." And normally I can get a little bit anxious if I'm on my own, like if I don't have like, "Oh, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing." Like, maybe I'll just go
Yeah.
back to the hotel.
It's very frustrating, I
Um,
can imagine.
yeah. So I said, "Fuck this." I planned it out. I booked a really nice business class ticket on the train. I was the only one in my car, both directions. Get out, Austria, have the Viennese coffee, go have some strudel, go have this, blah 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 blah. Have an awesome time. Get on the train back, feeling good because having a Saturday to myself, just like I'm having a few.
We're
I'm like,
chilling, bro. Yeah.
I had my headphones in, looking out the window at the Austrian countryside as like Lucchini's "This Is It" is playing, and I'm texting my buddy in Boston. I'm like, "Yo, I'm 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 having a good one right now." I meet up with everybody else for dinner, go to an Irish pub in Salzburg later that night, like
Yeah.
talking to people from other areas, like just talking to people and seeing it is what it was all about. And there was car related content in there because then the next few days we drove the RS5 and it fucking
Yeah.
ripped. So
Shout out to you, Audi. Let's go. Oh, dude, that's the dream, dude. That's the dream, and that's what you aspire to when you're in when you're in that game and whatnot. The cars are dope. The experiences are doper. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Mm,
and,
mhm.
and it's just
Right.
how cool, like how and good for you to you met, like, for example, like I didn't fully get a chance to go ahead and experience college by my own choice and whatnot, and I regret it as well, by the way. But as I do some of the things that I do now with tormenting tarmac, and by the way, I'm not going to Austria, although if somebody wants to send me to Austria, I'm cool. But like, like a perfect. So I talk about LA. The night before the auto show, I go to the Alpha party over in Van Nuys, over
Hell
at
yeah.
the Haggerty Hangar or whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
that was my first type of event going to
Oh,
something
so
like that.
you're geeking out.
Homie, dude, we were cooking, man. I get in there and I was like, man, this is this is dope. You got the
Yeah.
Petersons got like two cars that they brought in from the museum that are chilling there. The Alpha 33, the brand new one,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
which Low key, actually one of the prettiest cars I think I've ever seen in my entire life, and that's
Sure.
no
Yeah.
joke.
Yep.
So like, and like the food is delightful, and I'm just like,
Yep.
yo, this is,
There,
I'm not doing too bad,
yeah.
bro. Not doing too
There are
bad. It was.
times I'm obviously old and jaded now, and like I probably got invited to that. I'm like, I'm not driving to LA, like
I
fuck
don't
everything.
blame you,
But
especially because you showed up to the following morning. It's like you're not going to go ahead and spend the night. And you can shoot up in the morning. I don't blame you.
so but I love hearing that shit because it reminds me of moments in my career because now
Yeah,
I'm fucking old. Um, and
you're not
the
that old, bro.
where
We're
where
closer to the same age. You trust me.
I just turned 46. Um, the so I just have moments like that where I remember one year I was in New York for the auto show, and my buddy, one of my friends I've known since seventh grade, was working in New York. I'm like, yo, I got an invite to this Jaguar party. We're going out. I got him in, and we're standing there, and Ian Callum is standing there. I'm like, I'm trying to explain, I'm like, yo, that's dude's an important guy. And we just
Yeah.
paused dead in our tracks because I think they were showing off. It wasn't F Type because F Type had come out. It might have been like F Pace. It was like something stupid, like a redesign for the F Pace. It wasn't even
Yeah.
anything crazy. And
Although the F base Type
Megan
R.
Fox walks by.
Oh snap! Okay,
So
now
we're
we're
standing
good.
there. She walks right past us to go do something with the car. And he looks at me and goes, "Are they always like this?" I go, "No."
No.
Oh, no, dude. What the hell? Even I was like, yo. So
It's
I
like, did I
do.
get invited to the right? Am I at the right place, bro? Just checking my invite real quick, man.
Yeah. Oh, and then I even just had, you were talking about making time with Jensen Button. You just reminded me of
Yeah,
one I just had. So you can still have these moments, even as you're, an old jaded man like me. At Goodwood, I was at the Festival of Speed this year, and I was
amazing.
hanging out with Johnny because we were on the same trip, driving together, Subaru stuff. And he's like, "Oh, come walk down." We had like a nice suite with Subaru on like turn one of Goodwood. He's like, "Hold on, Singer's down there. Come with me." I'm like, "All right." And I don't know anybody at Singer. He introduced me to all of them. But then fucking Dario Franchitti walks up. I was like,
Dude.
"Hello." So, but I follow him. I also follow his brother Marino.
Yeah.
So I didn't know this. I'm randomly wearing a Pink Floyd t-shirt because I love Pink Floyd. And
Mm-hmm.
Marino looks at my shirt and goes, "Nice shirt, mate." I was like, "Oh, thank you." Just figuring he's British and likes Pink Floyd. He's
Sure.
married to the drummer's daughter.
To Nick Mason's daughter?
Yes, he's married to Nick Mason's daughter.
Nick, dude, and you know what the funny thing is? And I know you know this, and I know this. I need people to understand. Like, talk about like car credibility in musicians. Like Nick Mason is like, I'm gonna say
Nick
something
Mason is up here.
up here. I'm gonna say something, and it
And Nick
might be
Mason's daughter's an only child. So guess who's getting those cars? It's
yo,
Marino.
yo, Dario. Oh, my man, dog. Let's go, brother. Let me tell you something right now, and this might be blasphemous. I honestly don't care. It's my podcast. I can say whatever I want. When it comes to like celebrity car royalty, I'm gonna say Nick Mason is above Seinfeld, man. I'm gonna say it. I know,
So I will back you up
my
because
man. Thank you.
Jerry is just Porsche with a
It's
little
just
bit of
Porsche
Volkswagen.
and some Volkswagens. I'll give him Volkswagen too.
That's yeah. Nick Mason, 1,000%. I put
100%.
fucking Jamiroquai over Jerry
Dude, and
Seinfeld.
to me, it's like
No
Mason.
offense to Jerry.
No doubt, no doubt. Like I have
Collection's
no.
amazing.
It's an amazing collection.
Nick Mason is
But
the
Mason
hand
and
champion
Leno,
for
it's like
Leno.
Mason and Leno are like 1A, 1B kind of.
Oh, Leno, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so like it's amazing. But like I remember, I'll never forget the episode of Top Gear when Jeremy and Richard and James were still on
One
the
of
show.
one of the
And
best parts. I know
Jeremy,
exactly what you're gonna say.
you remember
I
this?
know
Like
exactly what you're gonna say.
the BBC could not insure the 250 GTO. Like they did not, they couldn't physically, they could not afford it, which is insane to me that that
I
was
thought you were
even the
gonna talk about a
case.
different Nick Mason one. There's a
Oh, which
different
one
one
were you going to talk about?
where it was his Enzo,
Oh yeah, it was Nick. It was Nick Mason's Enzo that they had as the press car.
but they couldn't. But Nick Mason wanted to promote his book, and the BBC legally can't do that. So Jeremy Clarkson kind of broke the rules and was like, he compared something on the car. He's like, to this book I have in my hand, by it happens to be by Nick. Like he talked about the book
Oh
without
good.
talking about the book. And the best part of that, because the BBC could use royalty or could use licensed music because it's the BBC and they can just do that, I guess. So Nick Mason, thanks him for kind of doing the book review,
Yeah.
leaves him to the car, flies off in his helicopter to Pink Floyd's Money. And I'm just like, This is it. That's it.
That's how gangster is that? Two iconic Nick Mason moments on Top Gear. And yes, you're right. I think the BBC has like the biggest music library, music catalog library accessibility of like any
Can use
broadcast
whatever it
network on the
wants. Yeah, it's
planet. That from so they can
crazy.
play. The amount of times that I've heard them play Gustav Holst the Planets on Top Gear and I mentioned that because I played the planets back when I was in high school in marching band. I played tenor sax. And
Nice.
we stood, our intro was Saturn. We played Mars. We played Mercury, and we finished it up with Jupiter. And
And then you
yeah,
broke into ska.
oh, dude. And I actually played jazz in junior and senior year of high school. This is a true story.
Nice. I'm not making fun of ska, by the way. One of my good friends is in a ska band.
No, dude, hey, dude, I got nothing but
I
respect
love
for
ska.
ska music.
I was
It's
just
all
I
good.
just went to Warp Tour in Long Beach like 2 weeks ago.
That's sick, dude.
I
I'm
went
telling.
by myself as a 45-year-old man to watch my friend play. And I'm just like, yep, I am too old to be here.
I love it, dude. But let me ask you a question because obviously you're based in OC in LA, and whatnot. And so when I think of automotive journalism in 2026, there's to me there's still three places, and specifically talking automotive journalism. In the United States, obviously in Europe, it's a little bit different and whatnot. But like, there's still three main places that an automotive journalist seems that they should be basing themselves out of. It seems like it's the LAOC area. It seems like it's New York, and then you still want, and then if you're based out of Detroit, you're still doing good stuff over there. Is that the
Yep.
case? And is that like
So
it's tough,
mostly
right?
yes. So mostly yes for if you want access to cars, yes.
Yeah.
For the most part, that's where the most of the cars are. There are other pockets that are doing well, and it's usually because someone has set up to be like an anchor being for that
Yeah.
zone, and they can pull in, and then the other guys pull stuff
I
like
feel
the
like
TF.
Texas, Austin. I feel like Austin is starting to go ahead and be
Texas
another
has plenty,
anchor.
sure,
Yeah, right.
but Colorado, like TFL, all the TFL guys get
Yep.
access to
Shout
tons
out
of
to
stuff.
Denver. That's where
Um,
Brian Barkey is based out of. The
yeah, yeah,
the what is it? The Rocky Mountain Express is what it is. The Writers Guild that they have up there. I think
oh,
that's them.
sure.
Yeah.
And then Florida obviously has some stuff too. My boss
Yeah.
is in Florida. So you if here's the thing though, if you create something that is good enough, then it doesn't matter where you are because like we talked about Fensky, he's in
Yeah.
I always forget if he's in Oregon or Washington. He's like bouncing between the two.
Yeah. I think it might be Washington because like doesn't he like do some of the videos in like Idaho?
Something like that.
Yeah.
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 And then there are other guys in certain pockets who can just have created enough stuff that they can pull it off. Tavares's channel, he's in Florida, but he's
Yeah.
clearly built something massive there. And then there's other pockets around the world where you can find stuff too, which is a totally different conversation. But to get back to your original question, yes, if you are maybe a younger journalist who's looking to go more mainstream coverage with the buff books or bigger YouTube channels and whatnot, then yeah, those are still the three pockets because that's where the cars are
Right.
for sure.
Yeah, it's been interesting because like like right now we don't have like a press association or like a press group or anything like that in the Phoenix area. We used to, but not
Yeah.
anymore. And I
Mhm.
find that so interesting because I'm like, yo, just Phoenix alone is the second biggest city on the entire West Coast. The Phoenix metropolitan area, which you start to include Mesa, you start to include Scottsdale, Tempe, all that, is the 11th biggest metropolitan area in the United States. It's, I think, the third biggest metro area on the West Coast, only behind LA and I'm assuming San Jose and stuff like that. I think because I'm pretty sure our metroplex is bigger than San Diego's and it's bigger than I think we're even more populated than Seattle and San Francisco, which is crazy in and of itself. So
Yeah.
I think to myself and I say, I wonder what it is that's stopping auto manufacturers and just press fleets and stuff like that to say why not base ourselves in some of these bigger metroplexes that are not necessarily Los Angeles or even San
Yeah.
Diego. And I just find that fascinating because and I think to myself, is it a car culture thing? And I don't think it's a car culture thing. So I take it must be what like an ingestment of the consumer. I guess you could say. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know.
That's
I don't
it's
know.
interesting.
I know why they focus so heavily on California because it's
Well,
just
yeah,
such
of
a
course.
massive amount of car buying people.
Yep.
But I know there was press fleet service in that area, and if they're not there anymore, that's surprising and a bummer to hear.
Yeah.
Um, so
I
yeah,
think
I
it's
mean,
more the actual press group, not necessarily the press fleet. So the
oh,
press
okay,
fleet,
okay,
you
okay.
need to go ahead and get in contact, which is no problem. But like, I feel like having a press group, and maybe that's a really old school thinking. It perhaps is, and that's totally fine. I'm still trying to go ahead. I'm still like learning the behind the scenes of it all and stuff like that. I don't
It's
know.
not. There's still very active press groups. I haven't been in one in a while because I don't need what the group offers me, at least
Sure.
what MPG. I took it as far as I needed to take it. I was on the board, I
Yeah.
did a bunch of stuff with them, and I saw the pluses and the minuses. And early in my career, the pluses were huge.
Right.
Getting me in front of people, getting me in front of the cars, the events were great. And then after a while, I'm like, I can take it from here. Um, and but there's still some very active groups that do some very big events up in Pacific Northwest is one. There's the Midwest one. There's one in New England that still does stuff. So there is room for them for sure. If you had enough of a collective of people, I mean, just fucking make it, man, make it
Yeah.
happen.
I've had that conversation with a friend of mine. So who knows? Maybe the press group might be coming up back in
There you
the
go.
Phoenix area. Jorge
Yeah.
Aquino, and it will be leading the way.
Yes.
We'll see about that. That no,
Like it.
actually, it'd be so sick. At this point, I've gotten to the point
Love it.
where it's like it doesn't fucking matter if you want to go ahead and go after it, get after it. It's one of those things.
Yes.
And I look at yourself and I look at your trajectory of your career. I look at so many of the contemporaries that are in the Los Angeles area and just greater parts of the country. And I think to myself, I'm like, it's a matter of not can I, it's how much are you willing to go ahead and bet on yourself and things of that nature. Like that to me seems to be the case of being able to excel in automotive media these days is how much are you willing to bet on yourself and making yourself a well-known commodity to these respective, outlets who want
Yes.
your opinion, right?
Yes. Yeah. Staying in front of them and delivering opinions that make sense. And I say
Sure.
that by being like, there's no need to be unnecessarily negative. There's no need to be needlessly positive. Like honesty, but honesty that comes from a place of like reality,
Yeah.
is the best way to go about it. And to have a voice that's your own still, and but can maybe speak to occasionally both sides of the fence. You're speaking to the enthusiast well, but you also clearly understand like what the car buying public also needs. They don't need M5 wagons, stuff like that. So that is important. And yeah, and putting yourself out there in front of these people is really what goes a long way. Then they remember you and they're like, oh, he had a really good point. Maybe we'll invite him on the next press trip, which isn't the goal, but it is a great level up. Like you
Sure.
shouldn't. There early in a career, it's very easy to be like you get your first taste of that, and you're like, oh, and
Yeah.
then there's people in this industry who just live from trip to trip, and you're like, yo, that sounds fucking terrible. And if I
Right.
stack too many trips in a row, I'm like, I want to go drive my cars, sleep in my bed, use my awesome toilets, see my
Yo,
child.
no doubt. But on top of that, like you want to be with your wife, you want to be with your kid.
Yes,
You got family shit going
I mean
on and
my
stuff like
toilets are
that.
pretty good though. So no,
Dude, so is mine, man. So is mine on a good day. But
shout out bidet too.
but I'm with
Uh,
you. Like, I want to be, and I want to eat my own cooking. I want to go ahead and just be in my own place.
Tantalizing.
And
It's
yeah,
it's it's it it you get sucked in on some of these trips. Like I told you, I had an amazing time on that Audi trip, but it was also
yeah,
fucking long. And
yeah,
everybody on that trip by the end was like, this has been awesome, but I am extremely ready to go home. And I know some people are like, yeah, but it was great and this and that. And you're right, it was totally great. And it was a very
right,
long time to be away from home. So that can be tough. Um, so just I hope you get a taste of that side of it soon. Like that first trip invite will come in, those press cars can roll in, and then you just can't, as long as you don't chase it,
yeah.
um, just take it in, do it how you do it, do it the way, do whatever you do because that's why they invited you to be there. Is a good
No
way to
doubt,
look at it. Yeah,
no doubt.
that's what I
I
would say.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, that's so cool, man. Let me ask you this because like you've had a really good career over these last like 2 decades and stuff like that, and obviously there's still so much left to go. Like genuinely, so much left to go. You could go ahead and do this in your sleep until you're 90 if you really wanted to, but so far since like the start of Hooniverse until where you are at now, do you have like a moment that you feel is your PA the resistance? Almost like whether it was what maybe it was a story that you wrote, maybe it was an experience that you experienced that you got that came because of Hooniverse and because of what you're doing right now. Yeah.
You're trying to Sean Evans me. I like that. Um, the
Where's the wings at,
no,
bro?
I don't. I don't because I it's I'm in a weird place in my career where I'm just kind of, I don't want to say coasting because
Sure.
it's still work. But I can kind of do it not mindlessly either. Because these things take your voice and your time and your blah 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 blah. But I've gotten a taste of some higher levels of the career. Um, like specifically the show I did with Johnny,
Yeah.
Head to Head Drag Race, which we got canceled while we were finishing one of our episodes, like
Oh my God.
unceremoniously. It like three different shows got killed the same day. Discovery was like, you need to cut some fat. It was us. It was Nads and Amir's show. Was that Super Street or whatever it was, and then one other show that was in pre-production that like which sucks so much because they weren't even.
That's insane to even think about, dude.
And
That breaks your heart.
the episode Johnny and I shot was obviously like we shot it, we enjoyed it, and we were still talking about it in the Super trip. It was so
Yeah.
fucking funny. It was a Bentley versus the Electric 7 Series, and we had him on a racetrack, and like in the back of the seat, like you don't want to use the word Top Gear because Top Gear for any show or pitch is like an instant like eyes glaze over. Nope, you cannot
It's the
put
same when you mentioned Anthony Bourdain and
Anthony
trying to go ahead
Bourdain.
and do, yeah,
Right.
exactly. I completely agree.
So the we were doing fun stuff on the track. We're on Streets of Willow in these cars that don't need to be on Streets of Willow. And when someone's driving, the other one was in the back seat with the charcuterie plate, seeing how much they can hold on to it. And like the BMW smoked the Bentley, the electric BMW. My lap time was way faster, and I forgot to turn off traction control. Like fun, funny shit.
Yeah.
And it was like a really good episode. And we shot 90% of it. And then it's like someone got a phone call or an email, like, all right, pack it up. We're like, wait, what? I'm like, dude. So to get that taste of like something, and that's not even high level as
Yeah.
far as like TV goes, it's car TV at a time that was up there. More like the Johnny and Camisa days were much bigger for head to head for sure. Um, but I was having fun on our show. And then I did another show for them called Super Turbo Story Time, which was a weird idea, but like I thought it was cool because it
Yeah.
was two people sitting down from each other, each one getting a chance to tell a story, and each episode had different hosts. And my episode was myself and Jared DeAnda, and um, but the story was animated by Titmouse. And if you don't know who Titmouse is, they're the ones who do like Metalocalypse and a bunch of Adult Swim stuff and Venture
Oh,
Brothers,
okay. I
like some
got
of
you.
my favorite cartoons. So I was beyond like yes, I still watch cartoons. I'm rewatching the Venture Brothers right now.
Dude,
Um,
the Dragon Ball Z comes up on my timeline. You best believe I'm watching that minute and a half clip of Dragon
I
Ball Z. It is what it is.
we shot a holiday episode of Head to Head Drag Race at Radford in Arizona.
Yeah.
I had tickets to go see Death Clock back in Phoenix that night, and I told Nads, John Nadir from Super Street, who was on that episode, I'm like, "Do you want to go with me?" So we went to this death metal show. We were both wearing Hawaiian shirts because
Yeah.
that's what we wear. We looked like two dads. Everybody else was in pure black, and he and I were like each drinking these two tall beers, like this is fucking awesome. Um, so I love that shit. But the so to get like the slightest taste of that, you're
Taste.
like,
Yeah.
oh, oh, yeah, and you could see the potential. Like I didn't make tons of money on any of that either. Johnny's like, we were severely, you picture Johnny like they didn't pay us enough, blah blah, blah. And he
Yeah.
he was right, I'm sure.
By the way, that was a pretty good Lieberman impression, by
Yeah.
the way, because he's got a
Hey
particular
there.
voice. There.
Yeah.
That's so
Um,
good. You
I mean,
shout out to Johnny, bro.
I did get through 8 episodes with them. So not
Yeah,
get through,
man.
we had a blast. And so to see the potential for how much fun it was, because I actually also love hanging with the crew and talking camera
Absolutely.
shit, and then picking car stuff and pre-production and post-production. I was never involved in post-production, but I still like that. And then the potential for more money too. You're like, oh, like how do I turn, like how do I turn the one at the beginning of my salary into a two? And then how do you turn a two into a four? Because like,
Right.
and that's like, it seems like an impossible task. And currently it is, but there's a point of me in my career now. I'm like, what's the path? What's the direction? Because you do have some friends. You're like, obviously, I can't look at what Matt Farah does and be like, well, how do I do that? Because I can't.
Right.
Um, you just can't. And that's not just because of where Farah comes from. The dude has put in so much hard work to
The
build
Hollywood
himself to where
hustle,
he
that
is.
phrase I got
Yeah.
from him 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I will never disparage Matt's work ethic and blah blah blah. I'm always a fan of everything he does in that space,
Yeah.
and it's been really fun to get to know him, as I have over all these years. But to see what's potentially out there, and so like I start hitting up people and being like, hey, I've pitched people some car shows, and it's just such a landscape that seems so difficult and
Yeah.
impossible to get stuff done. And also maybe my pitches just suck, which is
Well, I
totally
don't know. No,
possible.
I don't. I
But
really don't think that it's that because, like, me as a consumer, like, I'll take away that I'm doing a podcast as an automotive enthusiast and stuff like that for 1 second, and a fake automotive journalist. I definitely am a fake automotive journalist, but like as the
so
enthusiast and the consumer,
ditch automotive journalists and just
yeah.
say, um, I always prefer the term automotive entertainer. Like you're making
Boom.
entertaining content.
I am
So
an
do that.
automotive entertainer,
And
no
then you
doubt.
remove the potential barrier for what's the term?
Like the
Where you
ceiling and stuff like that, and
No,
just
no,
like
no. What's the term when you feel like you're doing something you don't deserve to be doing it? Uh, the imposter
um,
syndrome.
imposter syndrome. Yes, thank you.
Get rid of it.
That's
I had
okay.
it early
Valid.
on in my career. I do not have it. If I get cast on a show, I fucking deserve it. So feel
Okay.
the same way.
All right,
Feel the same way.
respect.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I will absolutely. Okay, guys, I'm an automotive entertainer. God damn it! But genuinely, as a consumer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I grew up. I'm 36, going on 37, right? So you got a decade
I
on me in
told you
life
I
and
was
whatnot.
older.
So I knew, but we're not that far apart, right? And so like
Sure,
we,
sure.
you and I have seen a lot of the same things, and
Yes.
we've probably enjoyed a lot of the same things over the last few years and stuff like that. So I go back to like 2010. I would have been 20 years old. We finally get Top Gear US here in the United States, and like the real Top Gear US. We got Tanner, we got Rutledge, we got Adam, who I
Right.
think did an exceptional job for the 6 seasons that they had on history, right? The
Right.
first like season and a half, they were trying too hard. Season two, they click, they
Mhm.
become friends, the chemistry is there. The best thing they ever did, and I say this as nicely as possible, is they got rid of the studio audience and started to go on adventures themselves and
Yes.
ditch that. They just
I was
started to
in
go
one
ahead
of the
and
studio audiences.
yeah, which is like, by the way, so sick. Don't get me wrong, but like they
No,
needed,
no, like I was just like a fan, and it was
yeah,
like 5 minutes from here. Yeah.
and it was so sick. And I think the biggest thing that they needed to do in order to be successful is allow history to let them separate themselves completely from what Jeremy, Richard, and James were doing, because
Yeah.
there was no way you could go ahead and follow that. That was the exact reason why Top Gear Australia lasted 1 year, if not
Right.
two,
Right.
and whatnot. And so history, they canceled the show, I'm assuming because of budgetary restrictions and whatnot. Like, I think that they made a
That was part of
horrid
it.
decision,
That was part of
right?
it. All their
And
contracts are about to be renewed.
yeah, and I'm like, and you look at it, it's like, oh, now we have to go ahead and pay Tanner, Rutledge, and Adam a lot more. Well, yeah, because they're fucking putting on a really good show, aren't they? History,
Tanner
and
was
that's not
losing
a
money to do that from his like stunt driving work. He was losing money.
that,
Um,
but he wanted to do. You could tell he wanted to be there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
The
that's what's so frustrating.
and their best season was their last season because they upgraded the camera gear and they
Yeah,
did a bunch of stuff. And because the person who wrote the car facts for that last season
was a
was
real car
me.
guy. Oh no, shit, was it you? Let's fucking go, Glucker. Yes, man. That's how sick is that? But like, how? By the way, people will never understand how important that is because, like, you look at OG Top Gear, and yeah, Clarkson, May, Hammond, true.
Unbeatable.
They
Unbeatable. They made
unbeatable.
me want to make they made me want to make car videos.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
made us all right, and
Yeah.
then Willman, brilliant, like beyond
Brilliant.
brilliant. But then you look at the writers, like what is it? Is it Richard
Porter. Richard Porter.
Richard Porter, right?
Porter
And
rules.
there's this one dude who's now working with Cars and Bids. Is it Joe Barry? Yeah, Joe Barry. Shout out to Joe Barry from the UK, who's now based in
He was a
OC.
producer on my head-to-head show.
Exactly. So, that dude, I heard him. He was on that car show podcast. Shout out to my guys over there. And he was exceptional. And like, to me, in order to make the best car related content on mainstream media, which would
Yeah.
be cable TV, you have to have people who know what the hell they're doing.
People.
And I mention that because history excuse me, BBC America revived Top Gear with William, not Forsythe,
Oh, yeah.
right? And the drag racer dude,
Right.
and there was one other. Oh, with Tom Ford from the UK,
It was
who
Tom Ford,
it
wasn't
was
it?
Tom Ford,
I
yeah.
forgot that. That's how bad that was. And
That
he's
which
good.
is
And he's good.
he's good, and it was it William Forsythe? Is that, or am I getting
No,
my
that's not his
Williams
name.
confused? No,
It's the dude who was in
it's
the
Armageddon. It's a dude
opening
from
of the Heath Ledger Batman.
Dark Knight, yes. And
Yeah.
if you've ever
He's the
watched,
bank manager.
my God, it's William. It's gonna bother the crap
It's
out of me
because
that I
he's
can't.
such an amazing character actor.
I
Yeah, I can't
know
think of it at all.
he's in a bunch of Michael Bay films
People are
too.
screaming at us right now.
I
Yeah.
know.
Great
Damn
actor.
it. He's
Tremendous
super
actor.
cool actor.
Terrible
And
at times.
one of his best roles is in Armageddon when they get back to
Oh,
Earth
yeah,
and he
yeah,
goes
yeah.
over to
Oh,
Liv
dude,
Tyler.
I know exactly what you're gonna say. This is gonna be the dumbest
Hit me,
thing
dog.
ever. The So I don't cry at a lot of movies. Dude,
Neither do I,
that
but I've
scene,
cried at a couple.
that scene that you're about to mention makes me tear up.
It's
I just
so
like to
good.
shake the hand of the daughter of the bravest man I've ever met.
How fucking great of it's
It's
such a
so
good
good.
scene. It's
It's
so
so good.
so good.
William
There, that
Forsythe is
scene
amazing.
makes me get emotional. I'll give you
That's
I'll
amazing. I
give you
didn't write
two
for
scenes.
that Top Gear. I
Yeah.
did also though write for Dax's first season.
That was a good show that again Motor Trend cut way too early. It was good.
Keep
I
talking, I'm
thought
getting way
that
better.
Dax and Jethro were exceptional. I think they had excellent chemistry. Rob Corddry, he's cool. He's funny,
So Audrey was awesome because he didn't pretend to know about cars.
which I think
And
which is important.
I got so stoked because he did occasionally they would do those pieces where they would go off and do one thing on their own. And
Sure.
he reviewed an Aston Martin, I think, a Vantage. And I wrote all the stuff. And I would try to write some jokes too, but I'm not a joke writer.
Sure.
So like back in Tanner's season, Tanner was like, I don't want any jokes. Just give me the facts. I'm like, all right,
Right.
cool. Yeah. And then Adam and Rut were like, yeah, just give us the paper. We'll figure it out. But some of this stuff is good. My buddy, Derek Powell, who is a producer for the Dax one,
Yeah.
was like, Cordry got all your notes and said, who is this guy? He's really funny. I'm like, dude, and we're both Boston guys. So I'm like, please tell him we should be best friends because this is the greatest shit I've ever heard in my life. And I did
Oh,
not get
cool.
renewed for season 2 because they thought they paid me half of what the Tanner season paid me
Yeah.
to start, and then they were like, then I was still too expensive. And I'm like, the fuck? Like, so
Dude,
that
and
show, I
that's
knew
it.
that show was doomed from the outset because
Yeah.
I know if you know the disparity between what Dax and Corddry made versus what Jethro made, holy shit.
Yikes.
They got Hollywood money. Jethro got auto journalists making TV money, and
Which
it's
is that's where it gets to be frustrating. It gets to be frustrating there because I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Dax is an enthusiast. Like his car taste and his car creds, everybody knows him. If you're a fan of Dax, then you know, right? But at the same time, Jethro is how do I put this? Is by far the most legitimate portion of that program on screen. Right?
oh god, yeah, it's not even close.
Yeah, it's not even
Not even
close.
close.
In the same way that when Harris came on board, like Chris Evans for that first season, knew it would never be a great fit. Matt LeBlanc, I was like, listen, I've watched enough Friends and I've done enough research to know Matt LeBlanc is a Porsche guy.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna nail it. And guess what? The moment they made him the main host, absolutely awesome for the next 5 years.
Yeah, their biggest miss though, when they switched to just Harris and the other two dudes,
Yeah,
dude, they had a fucking hero on their team. Rory Reed is so
Rory's
good.
awesome.
His Japan stuff, if you actually go back and Google, he does one of my favorite automotive reviews of all time. He did a video, it's like a spoken word rap about a Rolls Royce from 2014. And he's like speaking to the car and it's shot in black and white. And he even relates the fact that they have the same initials, which I was like, oh shit.
Damn.
I think I
Talk about
watched
bars, bro.
when I think I watched it when they announced him as coming on the show because I didn't really know him
Yeah.
then. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this guy's I can't do that. That's
No, I know. It was really special because like when Evans left and they kind of like redid everything where it was going to be like, okay, LeBlanc, Harris, Reed's going to be a lot more on screen. and you know, so may she rest in peace always, Sabine Schmitz, right?
Sabine,
And even
absolutely.
yeah, and then Eddie Jordan, right? Eddie Jordan,
Oh yeah, yeah.
who
Also
was a really good
R.I.P.
contributor, and so he obviously he does a little bit less as the seasons go on, and the one thing that I noticed was for the next few years, like Rory was still very much a great part of Top Gear during that era, but what ended up happening was all the big stuff. It actually ended up being more Matt and Chris.
Yeah,
And I understand, you know, because Chris Harris is probably he is the writer of our generation to an extent, right? Like
I would put him more. For me personally, I would
sure.
put him much more for pushing the video envelope. Um,
Agreed.
and that's only because I didn't read a lot of his writing. He's been a writer for a long time though, and I'm sure there's some brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
So that's only my personal exposure.
But I agree. But like because when you think of like automotive journalism, when it finally got onto YouTube,
Mm.
aside from Top Gear, the first dude that I remember, it was Harris,
Yeah,
and then you know, especially on the UK
early
side, and then
drive.
Early Drive, Evo, Jethro comes in, and he's like the kind of like the next in line. You
Yeah,
know, you got
yeah.
what did like a Steve
Jethro's great.
Sutcliffe. Yeah, it's like
Sutcliffe's amazing.
Sutcliffe, you know, goaded, bro, and like all these other individuals, right? And then, by the way, you talk about we mentioned Jalopnik earlier.
Mhm.
A lot of the dudes and dudettes that were over at Jalopnik, they transitioned over into the Drive's
Yeah,
website
they did. Yeah.
as Harris and Farah and Musto and all these dudes are popping off on the Drive YouTube channel and stuff like
Yes.
that. The Drive on the online, because I think of people like I think of
OG
Kristen Lee,
Spinelli.
and I think of Spinelli, and I think of Alanis King, and I think of like I think was it Travis Sikolsky that was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
during that time. I think of all these dudes. I think of Farah. I think of him writing about his H1 in New York City and can not being able to find a parking spot and shit. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I think that to me, that era of automotive journalism in the blog era, like that was
Yes.
such a goaded era from like 2013 to like
Yeah,
2017.
yeah. Because that's also Harris's era. I think he wrote it for Jalopnik, the Ferrari story. Was that his era?
Yes, of course. They blackballed him. They
Yeah.
told him that
Well,
you're
for a bit, and
blacklisted him.
then
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then
Then
they
they're like,
finally got
wait,
a chance to drive
wait,
a
how
458
big?
Spider.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But like I think of that, and I do think that they had a missed opportunity with Rory Reed. And
Oh,
I think to myself, I wonder what it was. And then I opened up my eyes and I know what it probably was, but I'm not going to say it out loud. I'm not going to go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room because you
yeah,
know,
sure.
and it is what, but it's the truth. And
Americans.
I've gone on this podcast a multitude of times, and I say, and I've said it. I'm not afraid that I think that there needs to be a little bit more minority representation in automotive journalism and
Yeah,
automotive content creation and automotive entertainment and stuff like
more
that.
women too.
And the moment that we start seeing that, it'll be even better. And because
Oh,
right now we're in this boom of like the ladies are getting represented, and oh
they
my
are. Yeah,
God, you love to see it, right?
yeah,
And so now that boom is going to continue, well, let's wait. You know, there's a lot of talented people, and so
yeah.
I bring that up
Garrett from
solely.
American Muscle is doing great
Hell
stuff in the
yeah,
space. I love seeing that guy on events. That dude crushes it. And he's just a really nice guy. Rory Reed, like we just said. Yeah,
absolutely,
I'm with you 100%.
yeah. And so I just think of that, and they could have had something better. Matt decides to leave. They don't renew Rory's contract, so they brought in Freddie and what is the
Patty
other guy?
is his name.
Patty, Freddie and Patty,
Yeah.
who did a good job. It wasn't my. I know a lot of people
I
liked that era. It
yeah, I
wasn't
didn't
my
watch
favorite,
it
but it
either.
was cool. It
Yeah,
was all right. And then they went ahead and one of them got injured on a crazy crash, which sucks.
dude,
And then
that was a bad one.
it was a bad one. And then you think to yourself, well, we also saw Jeremy Richard and we saw Richard Hammond almost die like 3 times, and they
That's
never pulled the plug.
that's
What the
true.
hell happened that you felt the need to pull the plug now?
They probably
You know,
just saw that it was a shit show. They probably just saw that it was a shit show, and they saw
probably.
that the Grand Tour had the magic, and they didn't. Um, yeah, and like I I'll see some shows that'll pop up on my algorithm that we never got. Some of the BBC, because those guys had their other shows on the BBC, like,
Yeah.
or not BBC, other networks, whatever. Like James May reassembling shit. I'm like, I can watch this for an hour. This
Oh,
dude,
no doubt.
it's to me, he was my favorite of the three. Is May, the one I'd most want to have a beer with. Feel like Hammond would also be great.
Sure.
Clarkson would be good too, but of the three, he's the least in terms of wanting to sit down and have a beer with, but I also think in terms of creating television, he is by far the best.
Well,
Um,
he's a genius. He's
I
literally, I
watched
hate to say it, but he's a
Oh, he
genius.
is. I
Yeah.
watched the first season of the Farm Show. I forget
Yeah.
what and it
Clarkson's
was
Farm.
it was so good. And then the season finale of season one with the music and the shots, I was like, fuck, dude, this guy knows how to make television.
Yeah.
It is so good. And on my recent trip to Goodwood, I got to go to the pub, the whatever, the farmer's dog or whatever his pub is, and have a beer, which was cool. So
How's the beer? Is it actually pretty decent?
the beer was fine. They poured it with I know a lot of times in British beer you'll get little to no head. There's still supposed to be some head on a beer,
Yeah.
even over there. And it had none, but it was a very unoffensive beer and it was very hot out. So it was like it hit the spot. I
Sure.
did a beer review on Motor1's Instagram while I was over there. So there's a reel of me doing that at Clarkson's Farm.
See, that's the type of stuff that I love to hear because, like, I remember having a conversation with Johnny a couple years ago when he was on the show, and like he was on the show. He was doing a show with me and a photographer friend of ours named Caitlin Klink, who is actually today's her birthday. Shout out to her, and she's a quite a talented photographer and whatnot.
She's a metal
Specializes in
photographer? No,
what was
I'm
that?
thinking of someone else. She's not like a heavy metal photographer, is she?
No, 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 no.
She's
She's
something
in the
else.
automotive, and then she does
Okay.
like social media stuff for like
Oh
a
yeah, yeah,
variety
yeah.
of different. Yeah, yeah. So she's based out of the. She's now actually, she's based out of Houston and whatnot. She's amazing, and she's a good friend, and so actually she was the one that got me in touch with Johnny in the sense of like Johnny started following me because he was cool with her, and then
Nice.
did my show based off of that. And I'd been a fucking fan of Johnny for like a decade, and I was like,
Sure,
holy
absolutely.
shit, you know.
Yeah.
Johnny did my show, and that was the moment where I was like, oh, okay, so Tormenting Tarmac is going to go ahead and here to stay. And
Awesome. Love it.
the second time he does my show, he's got this bottle of whiskey that he's trying to go ahead and open up as we're trying to go ahead and get the show started and whatnot. He's
Sure.
like, Jorge, I can give you like an hour and 20 minutes because I got to go ahead and knock out this like whiskey review and shit like that. And I'm like, okay, like totally, like yeah, sure. And I think and then the last time he did the show was right after Moto Miami, and he's like,
Okay.
we're doing a show online, and he's like, he was supposed to go ahead and do one thing and then chose not to do it because he was going to go ahead and do this whiskey tasting thing. And I'm like, that's, of course you would do that, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. No,
he's doing the experiences now.
he used to be back in the day when he was way more into beer. He was a certified beer judge, and he has a crazy beer stories. If you dive into his beer stories, yeah, no, Johnny knows his shit in that realm
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. But I just I love the fact that you guys are taking you as writers and people who I love the fact that you being an automotive enthusiast, that's not your biggest thing. What makes you guys special is your love for all the other things around you, because you can also incorporate it into the lifestyle of what you're writing about. You are a great photographer. So your point
Oh,
of
thank you.
wanting to go to Washington to shoot orcas and I'm just going to get a press card, get a G90 for the shit of it and stuff like that. Like that's
Yeah. It was
your other
fortuitous.
passion lends into the main work passion, which is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cool. I think the more we do that, I think that allows this content creation or journalism, whichever way, or entertainment, it allows it to grow and enter into a different sector and
Mhm.
still allows people to be viable and to be relatable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think relatability is such a big
Yes.
thing these days, even in journalism. In
Yeah.
journalism, for sure.
I feel like that's harder and harder, and I'm not going to dump on any podcasts, but you hear inklings. There's very popular podcasts where the people hosting it have lots of money, and they
Yeah,
talk about cars that are untouchable, and they talk about them in a way where they're talking about them and buying them, and that's very exciting and it's neat. And but I think that's a certain point where you and I are like, hey, my Kia Sportage needed a new engine. I have one of the windows up with tape, and I'm like, this has no heat, no AC, no radio, and I bought it for $750.
yeah,
My Range Rover, I just got back from the shop because the rear windows wouldn't roll up, and that needs the AC recharge because it's R12. There's no one does R12 anymore, but I found a guy on Craigslist who will do it, and I have to drive to fucking Wrightwood to get it done. Um, so no, this is actually this is in my mind, this is potentially the sweet spot if you
yeah,
if you if you keep it there. It's really fun to talk about the stuff that we don't get to do.
Sure.
Like my trip to to Austria was amazing because I couldn't just pay the money and do that trip on my own.
Yeah.
Um, the but to bring it back to reality of the reality of needing an engine replaced in your Kia Sportage is awesome. That's potentially where the sweet spot is. If you can cover all the bases and actually relate to your listeners, that has the chance to go a long way. And that's not to say there isn't a space also for those amazing podcasts that are also
Of
like,
course.
hey, we have the dude from Brabus on today, and we're going to talk about this $900,000 car because that shit is also cool too.
Yeah.
It's just, not everybody can relate.
Well, I think the big thing about automotive enthusiasm as a whole is being able to go ahead and appreciate as many sectors of it as you possibly can, right? So, like, give you a perfect example, and we'll go ahead and start to wrap it up here shortly and stuff like that. That way, we can go ahead and both enjoy the rest of our evenings, and that way you can chill with your wife and all that good stuff. And by the way, I'm so grateful for your time, Jeff. It's been beyond a delight, and I'm telling you right now, if I'm in LA in November, we're doing dinner. Um,
Deal.
but the cool thing is, like, one of the videos that you've shot for the Hooniverse channel, you did this a few years ago. You did the Audi e-tron cannonball from New York
Oh
to
yeah,
LA,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? I
yeah.
remember you talking about that on TST,
Hmm.
and I was like, I gotta watch this shit, dude, because I'm a big cannonball guy. I mean, I just had Ed Bolian for gosh darn
Right.
sake, right? So I'm a big fan of it and whatnot. So we're starting to go ahead and see a lot of different cannonball attempts in different ways. But
Yeah.
we're starting to see a lot of EVs and whatnot, and not everybody's a fan of an EV, but like the experience of trying to do an adventure of what is capable in an EV 5 years ago, or and then comparing it to where you can do now, because like now we
Hmm.
have better ranges. Now the
Yeah.
chargers are mostly better, but the
Better.
infrastructure of the car itself is better, not necessarily of
Better.
the country. We're still getting to that, right?
Yeah.
But that was an adventure in and of itself of you
Oh
and
yeah.
two friends of yours doing New York to LA and like, yo, can we pull this shit off and whatnot? Like that to
Yeah.
me is so cool. Can you kind of give us the
Sure.
logistics of how you work on something like that? Because one of the points you made was you decided you had to go through Arizona to get to Yuma to then come up the eight, because
Yep.
if you went through going straight to Los Angeles, y'all were probably not going to make it because it was
Yeah.
too far out. So
Yep.
kind of take me
Uh,
through it because I love this shit.
and that wasn't our original route too. We wanted to just cut, through Colorado, 'cause it's faster than going as far south as we went. But
Yeah.
so that was back in the day when I was still at Cox Automotive. So that was like a Kelly Blue Book slash this other short-lived channel called Ride.Tech, which was a mobility channel of theirs. And then I also could put stuff on Hooniverse. Um, so it was me, Micah Musio, and my buddy Josh Ostrander. We flew to New York and we worked with Audi to do this because the Electrify America network was pretty fresh. And we wanted to show that you could drive from New York to LA
Yeah.
on a thing. We're like, well, let's kind of cannonball it. So let's
Yeah,
start
and
start
remind
Red
me
Bull.
the Electrify America stuff from that point is post Volkswagen with Diesel
Post
Gate,
Dieselgate.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
So this is them trying to really be like, hey, listen, guys, we're trying to go ahead
Yes.
and do right by this and
Oh
stuff.
God,
Because
yeah.
Volkswagen, Audi, they the main investors behind Electrify America? Is that right?
Yes. Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, cool, 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 cool. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt. Please carry on.
No, 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 it's fine. It's a good question. To set the stage. So we're like, hey, Audi, you have your e-tron, and back, I mean, this wasn't like an amazing mile car, not even a fast charging car, but we have this network and we'll do this and blah blah blah. We're like, maybe we can make the record. And then we looked closer at the record. We're like, for safety reasons, and also part of this video is going to be on Kelly Blue Book. We're not going to go for the record. No, Kyle Connor from Out of Spec can do all the EV records.
Yeah,
Um,
shout out to him. He's doing some cool stuff too.
so we're like, we're not touching this. We just want to do it in one shot.
Yeah.
And so and the fun thing about Micah is that he's a helicopter pilot. He
Oh,
beyond automotive industry stuff. He has his own helicopter. So it was awesome driving with him because he immediately was like, hey guys, I can tell that I'm too tired. And he looked fine, but he knew right away where he shouldn't be in charge of a vehicle
sure.
anymore. And we're like, oh, that's really handy. Cause I'd be doing this, I'm like, no,
Yep.
I can make it.
No, it's
Um,
it's important to know your limits in that
yeah,
situation,
yeah.
dude.
Oh, especially in a helicopter.
Tell me about it. R.I.P. to
So
Kobe.
we planned it, yeah, dude, we planned it. And we had to immediately change our route because it got way colder. Like a cold snap came through. So we had to
Yeah.
do this. We had to go further south. all the Audi dealers along our route knew what we were doing in case we needed an emergency, like, hey, fix the car real quick. We
So
had two
cool.
spares in the trunk, which was probably overkill because it ruined our trunk space. One would have been fine, but we had to go. We couldn't go through Colorado because it would have been too cold. We had to go all the way down to like El Paso, and then
Yeah,
fucking come up through Arizona, and we did it, and it was long. I wouldn't do it again in that car just because
sure.
the but
It ended up
the
being 3 days, right, Jeff?
no, 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 no.
Or was it like two and a
Oh,
half?
actually, I guess with yeah, I mean, yes, counting dude, it was a blur. If I'm being totally
Yeah.
honest, it was like
No,
a
no
it was a
kidding, bro.
fever dream at
Yeah.
one point. Yeah, I guess it would have been 48. Yeah, I guess it would have been close to 3 days, but it didn't feel
Damn.
like it. It felt like
Sure.
1.5 days mentally.
Right.
Um, and it was more the limiting factor was charging speeds
Mhm.
for the e-tron at the time. But the crazy thing was the Electrify America network was so new, we never saw another car charging, and we never had a problem with a charger except for the
That's
very first charger. We called them like it's not charging, and we're freaking out because it's the first one. And they're like, just slightly lift up on the handle, it's just not talking. And
right.
then it was fine. And then once we learned that trick, like even if it didn't need it, we just did it automatically, and we had no issues going across the country from there. But it was a neat thing to do to technically run the can. We did run a route. We went from
Right.
Red Ball to Portofino, so we did do it. And immediately we're like, that was fucking terrible. It was the wrong car, but it was what was available at the time because this was
Right.
2019. It was blah 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 blah. Like a modern Taycan or that Escalade, or even like Silverados have so much range.
No doubt.
Um,
I'd be curious what a Spectre could do.
Lucid would be
Oh,
honestly.
yeah. Dude, the first time I ever did any type of like automotive work, and this is not automotive work. I was at a Cars and Coffee in Scottsdale at Highline, and then the Lucid dealership had a stand. I told them I had a podcast. They were like, "Do you want to drive our air?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I want to drive your air." And they let
Yeah.
me. They. I went to the service center at the Scottsdale Fashion Square, and they let me drive a Lucid Air Touring. And bro, mind you, first ever type of situation like this and whatnot. But I was like, yo, I'm driving $130,000 car. And this dude that works for Lucid is telling me, go for it
Get
in the
on
middle
it.
of,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I was like in the middle of Scottsdale. And I was like, all right, my brother in Christ,
All right.
like, okay,
Yeah.
bro. Like, and
Go for it.
again, once more, I can attest to, even though they have their own situational issues and whatnot, Lucid in terms of whatever quality it is and whatnot, as a
Mhm.
car, that car is a banger, bro. It is a banger when it's
Yeah,
working.
it is.
And
I had a Gravity like a month ago, and it was just like I said, and man, so
dude,
good.
Rivian's got a good product too,
Rivian
man.
is a good product. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
It-
yeah, I could go on about other issues, but
yeah.
not technical. It's just that the SUV, not the small one, the bigger
The
one,
R
this
to the R1S. Yeah.
it's the suspension in it is atrocious, which is wild because the truck is so good, and it's a
Yeah.
weird packaging issue, and they haven't solved it. But in the new R2S, they ditched what would make it bad, so it should be fine. And it's a crazy thing that we could do a whole nother hour on.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, dude. Well, then I'll say this. We'll save it for LA.
There you
So
go.
if
Okay.
I'll be at the I plan on being at the auto show. We'll save it for LA. We'll go
Yeah.
ahead and take some time, dude. When I was there in November over at the media section, they had these like what chimichurri steak sandwiches over there. Did you have some of those? That shit was fire, bro. That
I
was
believe you. I believe you.
so good, man.
You know what I
And
did one year at LA Auto Show? It was either LA or New York, and this
yeah,
just an idea throwing it out there, but that's back when the auto show was 2 days, so you could get away with this
okay,
shit. It's
yeah,
one day. We posted up in some like a van of like
yeah.
on display, and we had guests come in and out for the podcast.
So as I continue to go ahead and make more of a name for myself and whatnot, I'm going to try and do that the next time I'm in LA. Again, we'll have you. I actually met Larry Chen for about 30 seconds, which was awesome.
Larry rules. Positive vibes.
Larry's the coolest and whatnot. And so and then
Mhm.
I obviously ran into
I have his
Manuel.
photos on my wall
Dude,
over.
dude, his he's not even I've said this before. Larry to me isn't even a photographer anymore. He's a
Oh
documentarian.
no, he's a
You know,
cultural. He's become an automotive cultural icon.
he
It's
really has. It's really truly next level to have seen his progression
dude. When
over
he
the
partnered
last
with
decade.
7-Eleven,
Dude, God, it's just
so good.
next level, dude.
Yeah,
Next level. And it's
Larry,
just
and like I said, he's still the nicest guy on the planet.
yeah, I'm so that I'm still waiting to go ahead and get him on. That he is my next. He we got to get him on to TT at some point. It would be amazing. But
Anybody
dude,
else you want who I can connect you with, like Lynn or whoever else? Just let me know.
oh,
Happy to.
we're gonna get Lynn Woodward on this podcast. We're
All
gonna
right,
go
all
ahead
right.
and get a huge majority of that LA automotive journalist scene because I have so
Musto would
much.
be good too.
Dude, I met Musto at the Radford party in
Okay,
January, and when
cool.
I walk up to him, I shook his hand. I was like, "Yo, Mike, big fan. I remember when you did the drive like 15 years ago," and he was like, "Why'd you gotta age me like that, bro?" I was like, "I didn't mean to," but Big
Hey,
Muscle was my shit, bro.
there's a reason, dude. That
He's so
dude.
good. It
Oof.
just it's you know what the thing is? It's crazy how time flies, but the
Yeah,
content when the content is good, and this is so god honest. When the content is good, it lives on. And I look at the stuff that like the drive was ahead of time, right? They were
yeah,
so far ahead of what was going to come and whatnot with Harris and with Farah and Musto and Spinelli and then they went to NBC Sports with Alex
yeah.
Roy. Like
Yep.
they really had a good thing going. Again, money always is the root of all evil and the root of ending every single cool shit on television for cars.
Yes.
And you think about that, and it's and the same thing with you and with Lieberman, and it's like if somebody just had the belief, or if maybe a genuine automotive enthusiast was the chief officer of whatever cable channel or whatever corporate it is,
Right.
maybe it gives us a better idea of how we can incorporate what we're doing now.
Yeah, that's why the Utopian can do what it does because they get
Absolutely.
Bo Bachman, and that's why Haggerty can give Camisa
Uh, yeah, Carte Blanc. Talk about Carte Blanc
deserved.
over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so cool, man. But dude, I'm so grateful for your time. Before I let you go, my brother, I gotta ask you because I love asking this question, and even to somebody as yourself who's so ingrained into the game. All these years later, what does car culture still mean to you now?
Ooh, that's a. Ooh, I didn't see that one coming. That's a good one. It means it's a varied group of people coming together to share to espouse over a shared love.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what you look like, who you are, who you love, where you came from, how much money you have in your bank, but we all look at that one thing and we go, "That's cool, isn't it? You like that? I like that.
yeah,
Wow. Should we go get a beer, or should we get a coffee if you don't drink beer?" Or like, it's a it can bridge gaps
no doubt.
and you're not going to make it more than it is. It's not going to solve the world's problems, but if we get a quiet moment to be like, hey, you and I like that same thing, even though we're so different. Maybe there's a limit these days to differences, but if you and I are so different, this can help. This can go a long way towards
Yeah.
towards bridging some of those gaps.
No, I love that. It's so true, dude. It's so true, and we need more of it. We need to go ahead and bridge those gaps so much more and whatnot. I got to ask you a question before I actually let you go because I thought of this
Please.
because you were talking about the head to head that you were filming with Johnny and whatnot. You talked about one of them you did in at Radford. What
Ooh.
cars were those by chance? Was that an 812 and like a red eye?
Hmm. I don't think so. Because there was a day I wasn't there to shoot where Johnny raced Alex Taylor, and
Okay.
I
So was
don't
this
know.
was this like 2023 by chance?
I don't remember. I don't think we had an A12. I don't think we had an A12.
Oh, okay, okay. I only asked because like I remember Johnny doing a shoot of head to head, and he comes down to Phoenix, and so Johnny and I that Saturday night after he'd been at filming all day, and I had been working up, so I have a part time job and a full time job on top of that. And then I do the podcast, and I'm a dad, and I'm a husband. To talk about the Phoenix hustle is crazy, bro.
Yeah.
But I actually took Johnny to a Mexican spot in Chandler
Oh,
and we had dinner over there and we chilled for like 2 hours. And I remember I wanted to pick up the bill. It was a true story. I'm getting ready to pick up the bill. I invite Johnny out to eat dinner. I'm gonna go ahead and pay for the bill. He goes ahead and is like, "Nah, Jorge, I got this." He pays for my dinner. I'm like, "Yo, Johnny, what the fuck are you doing, bro? I invited you out to dinner," and he tells me, just consider it a thank you for all the years that you went ahead and watched head to head back in the day, and then it got canceled. And I was like,
Well,
all
shit,
right,
now I got to
bro.
do that. Thanks, Johnny.
Yo, that's a true story. I'm sticking to it, man.
Oh, good for you.
It was a
Love it.
fun day, man. Jeff,
The
you
thing,
are
the
the
thing,
man.
the thing that to shout out Johnny, the thing that
Yeah.
he comes across on the internet as a gruff, a very opinionated man, and he is a very opinionated man, but in person, he's also a very kind man. So
Yes, yes, he is. Yes, he is. And I love the guy. And whenever he's down to do the show, he's always such a delight to me, and I'm very appreciative for all the time that he's given me. And he's been a major inspiration for a really long time to me. And I see you, and I see a lot of the contemporaries and out in LA and all over the country, not just in Los Angeles, but anybody who's still riding up in New York and in Detroit. And like you guys are setting a standard. You guys are still setting those footsteps for us who want to continue to go ahead and carry on the torch. You guys are going ahead and leaving a legacy for us to go ahead and pick up the crumbs on and stuff like that. And I appreciate it. So you have been amazing. For those of you who aren't following Jeff, make sure you go ahead and give him a follow. He is on Instagram at Hooniverse Jeff. Of course, and then there's the Hooniverse YouTube channel, and then Hooniverse.com where he has a lot of his articles. Do they link to the Motor1 and all the
no,
other
Motor1 is
freelance?
separate. Go to Motor1. That's the day job.
Okay, cool. Go to Motor1, no
Motor1.com.
doubt.
Lots of feature articles. Lots of access to really good stuff there.
Yeah.
It's been a.
What
I haven't been there a year yet, and it's been a pretty good ride.
That's awesome. What are we looking? What should we be looking forward to that's coming up really soon? I know we talked about you're under embargo on on one of the cars that we talked about
Oh,
earlier. Yeah.
diesel power wagon. So new
Diesel
diesel
power
power
wagons.
wagon 2500.
Yeah.
Got to write a review on that soon, and then my Lucid Gravity story, and I'm debating if I'm going to the Jeep Recon launch. So that could be interesting,
Cool.
and waiting to see what trips show up in my email inbox soon.
Oh, please. Well, hey, man, if you're coming down to Phoenix and let me know, you let me know, and that way we can
Will
go ahead
do.
and do
A
something cool.
hundred
That would
percent
be
will do.
awesome. But yeah, go check out Motor1 and everything that they're doing. Awesome. They have gone and grabbed you and a few other writers from a lot of different spaces, and they are definitely on the come up over there at Motor1. And I'm digging what you guys are up to right now.
Awesome.
It's
Thank you.
really great shit that you guys are doing over there. I remember when we ran into each other at the LA Auto Show, you guys were talking about that, and I'm like, I'm trying to absorb all this stuff, like I'm absorbing it like a sponge, and I'm like, yo, this is it. And it was amazing, and I love what you guys are doing, and so all the respect to you in the world. And
Yeah,
you
appreciate
know
it.
what? For anybody out there, the little PSA, a little piece of advice from me and Jeff: if you got a Mitsubishi Montero, Mitsubishi, we need more parts over in North America, baby. That's all. I'm from Puerto Rico. The amount of Mitsubishi Monteros that were rolling around in the mid 90s, bro, in the
Dude,
late 90s,
I did a drive there last year, and I'd never been to Puerto Rico, and I wish we would have talked about it.
that's
It
the
fucking
that's well, hit me. Actually, let's end it on that because anytime anybody wants to talk PR, it's like, hey man, that's my place. That's my island, man.
Sure, we can finish on this story. Honda Passport Trail Sport launch was in Puerto Rico. Never been, so I
They
extended my
definitely
trip.
had to do it in Puerto Rico because the Honda passport, bro.
Dude, it was obviously we stayed at like a pretty nice resort.
Sure.
But
Was
I
it in San
extended
Juan?
my trip. So no, we were south of San Juan, but I extended my trip so then I could go explore San Juan. I found
Sick.
the place that invented the pina colada. I walked around that old mission fort that kind of leads its way into the main port area.
Yes.
Um,
That's La
I had my
Fortaleza.
first oh shit, what is it called? Big Poppy eats it, even though he's Dominican all the time. Mofongo. I had
Oh,
mofongo for the first
Mofongo?
time.
Yeah.
Dude, mofongo, so good.
Changed
Yeah,
your life.
Puerto Rico was gorgeous.
It's amazing. I
And I'm
love that
glad I got
place.
to explore it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just for such a small island, I talk about this to people all the time. For such a small island, the diversity in its geography is quite amazing because you have obviously it's an island. It's surrounded by water all over in all four corners and stuff like that. And you then go into the center of the island, and it's like mountainous. Like my mom and my dad built a house in the town of Utuado, and it's in the middle of the island. It's a very mountainous, hilly area. And then you go to the southern point of the island, which is Ponce and whatnot. It's a very dry area. And then when you go up to like the metropolitan area in San Juan and Caguas and Bayamon and all that stuff, you go a little bit further south from that, and that's where you find a Junque, which is the rainforest.
Okay,
And the
yeah.
fact that there's a rainforest
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right there in the middle of the island, it's like how cool is that? You know what I
And
mean?
then I think Northwest is the rad surf spot, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's Aguadilla. There's Rincon. Rincon is
Rincon. That's what I'm
where,
thinking. Rincon.
which is like right. Rincon is right next to my family's hometown, which is Añasco. So a lot of people are big surfers over there. They'll go ahead and drive over to Rincon. You know, there's Ricky Martin has a house in Rincon. Whether or
I
not I
took
should mention,
pictures of
yeah,
all the Monteros I saw while I was in PA.
dude, Monteros and Isuzu Troopers, baby. That's you know what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
Nissan Pathfinders, like mid '90s Nissan Pathfinders, the square ones.
Yeah, I think a month later was that Bad Bunny residency, or like he did
Oh
some
yeah,
big show in PR. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Like a month after
Yeah,
that show.
that talk about this. I mean, his Super Bowl show was absolutely iconic. I will hear none of it. It was so great. But again, I love talking about Puerto Rico, dude. It's my island, man. I love it so much.
It was good.
It's
Good.
it's amazing. So
I have a piece of art from Puerto Rico on my wall in the other room
that's fucking sick.
from a
Let's
street
go.
vendor. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, now I'm in the mood for a Malta. I want a Malta India. That's what I want right now, bro.
I want some
Okay,
more fucking mofongo, and I
well,
want to
some
feed
more
you guys.
mofongo. I need to have some pork chops and arroz con gandules, bro. We'll end it right there. I mean, I'm hungry. Jeff's hungry. We're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
call
yeah,
it
yeah,
tonight,
yeah.
man. Again, Hooniverse Jeff on Instagram, Hooniverse.com, Motor1.com, no doubt, because of that's the big boy job and stuff like that. My brother, thank you for your time. I
Wow.
appreciate it. I hope to see you in a couple months in LA. We'll have a good time over there. Okay, brother?
Muchas gracias, amigo. Esta podcast es más piano. Es fucking. I caught close. Como se dice? I suck at
We'll just say
Spanish, but I try my best.
you're telling me it's the tits, and I'll take it, bro.
There you go.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. Let's go, baby. Tormenting Tarmac is where you can find us on Instagram, of course. You can go ahead and find us streaming on Apple and on Spotify. You'll go ahead and catch this episode here on YouTube as well. If you have any questions, hit me up, tormentingtarmac@gmail.com, or you can shoot us a DM. Rate us, like us, give us 5 stars. We appreciate it all. We're a motoring podcast. It's Tormenting Tarmac. That's Jeff Glucker. I'm Jorge Aquino. It's where the enthusiast never dies. I hope you guys all have a lovely evening. We'll see you later.